Hey guys, welcome to the after show. Welcome to the late show. How are you doing? We have a very important boxing fight going on right now at Madison Square Garden. Probably, well, most certainly the most important women's boxing matchup in recent time between the Irish Olympic champion and undisputed lightweight champion of the world, Katie Taylor, and the 7 division Puerto Rican or Neo-Rican champion, Amanda Serrano, for all 4 of Katie Taylor's belts in the lightweight division. So I have that in the background. The co-headline fight was at 154 pounds. So that was a good fight as well between Liam Beefy Smith and Jesse Vargas. And Beefy stopped Vargas in the 10th round earlier. So welcome to the show, Tom Holland. Thank you for reminding everyone to upvote. I have already shared the link. If you want to jump on board, please feel free. We can talk about boxing. We can talk about watches. We can talk about anything you like. This is going to be chill. I just made a video on Lange's design language and how that reflects certain aspects of the Opera House in Dresden. So you're welcome to check it out later. But I was focusing on how they had that clock above the stage in the Opera House. Let me pull that up so we can take a look. And that was actually something Lange built in 1841, along with his father-in-law. So there we go. All right, if you take a closer look here, above the stage, they have a 5-minute jumping clock, actually, Roman numerals for the hour, and the alpha numerals for the Arabic numerals for the minute, for the 5-minute jumper. And that was something actually they built in 1841 by Ferdinand A. Lange and his father-in-law, who was the court clockmaker actually at that time for the Principality of Saxony, a man by the name Johann Christian Friedrich Gutkiss. And here's a little model of that clock above the stage. You see the 5-minute jumping minutes there, and how it's reflected in that iconic flagship model Lange 1 in their lineup. But of course it goes beyond that, right? When you the closest reflection of it is of course actually in their Zeitwerk series, right, where they actually have a digital display, as you can see here. Right, you have the hour here and the minutes. By the crown there. And that's the closest complication they make, of course, in their current lineup that pretty much looks like that clock they have above the stage in the opera house. And that's one of the reasons I also appreciate their so-called sports model, Odysseus or Odysseus, right, which has that, again, that particular design element of having a day date complication. And you have basically, but at 3 o'clock you have the date, at 9 o'clock you have the day, and you have big displays for both. And the crown guards actually in this case act as pushers, which help you adjust. The upper pusher helps you adjust the date, jumping one date by each push, and the lower one, the lower crown guard, helps you adjust the day. And all in all, I thought that was just a beautiful way to reflect the particularly East German, in fact, heritage of the brand. As you know, the watchmaking town, Glashütte, is about half an hour south of the historic city of Dresden. That opera house is, of course, in the old town of Dresden. On the bank of River Elbe, and it was built in 1841, but had to be rebuilt after fire. And then, of course, it was one of the architectural marvels and buildings that bore the brunt of the Allied bombing at the end of the World War II. So it took them about 4 decades to have it fully restored, from the burnt shell it had become in 1945. So it reopened in 1985 and rose from its ashes, so to speak. This was a building that premiered very important operas of Wagner and Strauss, and ultimately became a symbol as well of Lange's revival as a Phoenix brand in the wake of the German unification as well. Here you have another perspective on that stage, and you can see how glorious that 5-minute jumping clock looks right above. Yes, Jay Gray. This is in Dresden. The building is called Semper Oper Dresden, or simply the Dresden Opera House in English. Semper is the name of the original architect, Gottfried Semper. So, yeah, there are some interesting jokes there. That's why I was trying to hold back a laughter there. Eric L., welcome to the channel. Tom Holland, again, thank you for reminding people to upvote. By now, both fighters, by the way, have completed their ring walks. So I'm very excited about that. Trying to check that out in the background. The fight is about to start. Jay Gray says, interesting, Katie isn't the bookie favorite. Yes, even though she's the champion, I think Amanda Serrano has the wind in her sails, so to speak. She has had a couple of very good wins, and Katie seems to have struggled a little bit in her last couple of fights. So, and she's older, so I guess that put kind of the seeds of a doubt in some people's minds that she may be slipping. She may be on the back nine. I guess we will see tonight. Corrado Galizia, thank you so much for your contribution yesterday. What does a service on that cost? I really don't know. But I think they had to rebuild that as well after, of course, it was devastated at least twice. So can't imagine though. I know that Lange is still one of the main sponsors of that opera house, which is of course the state opera house of Saxony still. So it's not only a Dresden landmark, it's also important to the state of Saxony and of course to Germany as a whole. Bright Blue Comet, welcome to the channel. Tom Holland says it costs a lot. By the way, guys, the link is pinned above, so if you want to jump on the panel, you're always welcome. And of course, feel free to direct the chat from where you are, or change the topic of the conversation by jumping on the panel. Eric L says, service altar boy has to go up in a crawl space 50 inches above the floor. Well, I mean, it's not a church, it's opera house, so I don't think there are any altar boys in sight. Bosser, thank you guys for upvoting and supporting. Again, spread the word, it really helps. You know, my first major goal is to reach 1,000 subscribers, so each click pushes me further, each vote helps. I really appreciate your presence and support. Jay Gray says, what happened to Dresden 45? No words to describe. Absolutely. You know, I sympathize with everyone's loss, right? Just because the Nazis committed one of the worst crimes in history does not mean that one shouldn't feel for the way that Germany and German people were completely devastated at the end of the war, and same thing with other countries that have lost in World War II. Of course, we always remember the Holocaust and say never again, but that's precisely the lesson there, that one should not allow any innocence, anyone to be killed, maimed, and deported in that particular way, and stripped out of their possessions, out of their humanity, wrenched away from their families. That's just the inanity of war. The inanity of war. Jay Gray says, I cannot bring myself to watch female fighting. Woman on bicycles is tough enough. I'll have to disagree. I'll have to disagree. I just like watching fights. To me, boxing is basically the purest sport. It's mano a mano, as you say in Spanish. The fight just started, by the way. It's basically about imposing your will upon your opponent, physically and mentally. The Amanda Serrano came out on her southpaw stance. Katie Taylor is an orthodox fighter, so she is leading with her left, whereas Serrano is leading with her right. There's a little bit of twitching, a little bit of touch and go at the beginning, but they're really not holding back. This is this is already a fight. Already a fight has broken out in the first round, and Serrano is usually known for her knockout power, so she's trying to impose herself. She's trying to impose her power on Katie Taylor, and really pushing her all the way back to the ropes already. And Katie is trying to stay nimble on her feet, use the ring, but so far Serrano has the upper hand. And when she leads with her power hand, which is to say her left, she seems to be finding Katie's face with some ease. So things are not looking that great for Katie Taylor as we are coming to a close in the first round. Corrado Galizia says, yesterday you were talking about anniversary models. Today on Instagram, I saw Blancpain Le Mans Moonface calendar 260th anniversary from 1995. I will pull that up as we speak. The first round is already over. I missed a little bit of it, but hey, we're doing boxing and horology at the same time. So let's see. This is, if I'm not mistaken, this is a perpetual calendar, or is it just a complete calendar, triple date? Let me see. I found something on eBay already. So there we go. Let me know if this is what you're looking for. As you know, Blancpain is the oldest watchmaker, the oldest watchmaking company in the world. That's why they can claim this 260th anniversary in 1995, having been founded in 1735. Of course, they had a certain hiatus, so Vacheron Constantin still holds the pride of place as the longest continuously running watchmaker in the world. So this is I think a perpetual calendar, is it? Or no, this is triple date. Sorry, it's not a perpetual calendar. Triple date with moon phase. You have the date, day, and month, and the moon phase. Seems to be a very handsome watch with the rose engine turned guilloche in the middle of the dial there, executed in pink gold with all the accents and automatic movement. You have seen the rotor in the back there. Wow. And that's quite a watch, again, for a complication like that. Pardon me. In precious metal. And it's not a small watch either. It's 38 millimeters, so it's not going to be penny size. Looks very interesting. Thank you, GB Vol. Thank you for coming. Yeah, Frank says, for those who want to watch the fight, and Lord, thank you. Corrado Galizia says, yes, the one I saw was in white gold. That's, in a way, that's even better, if I may. I like complicated watches in white metal, honestly, and it's very hard to find them generally. In steel, it's more rare. thank God for brands like JLC and IWC, which have participated at least since the 90s in the so-called democratization of complications, and started producing more and more complicated watches and offering them to us in steel. Yes, I'm going back to the fight for a little bit. We are already in the third round. I think this is still an even fight. You can easily give both of the rounds to Serrano as it goes. Katie doesn't really look as confident as she usually is, and she's being constantly pushed back by the unrelenting pressure of Amanda Serrano. Yeah. Amanda's left has been doing wonders for her so far. She really can't seem to miss with that left hand. Katie's counters have started also landing quite a bit. And as you know, in this particular matchup of styles, when you have an orthodox fighter against a southpaw, so someone who leads with the left, that's an orthodox fighter, against someone who leads with the right, if you win the battle of your leading foot, so if you can manage to stay on the outside of your opponent's foot, you have a very good angle of landing your shots, especially landing your straight right, which Katie doubled up on just now at the end of the third round. I think this is her best round yet. 2-1, Amanda Serrano. How do the bookies know? The bookies, well, I mean, look, of course we can speculate in any number of ways. I'm not sure if that would be helpful. Maybe after the fight we can have a discussion about that. But the way that the bookies know is because they more or less watch these fighters and have a good idea of how their styles match up. And they don't always get things right, of course. Thomas, we only need 2 more subscribers, and then we're halfway there with 500 subscribers. So if there's anyone else you can pull in from other social media, from Instagram, from Twitter, from Facebook, who would be interested in watches, who would be interested in boxing, pull them in here, get them into this room, kicking and screaming. I think it's 2-1 Serrano GB Vol, but we are just halfway down the 4th round now, and I guess by now we can call it even. If I were to edge the fight at this point, towards the end of the 4th round, towards anyone, I would say Serrano. Again, Katie's counters started landing more often, so it's not as dominant. Amanda is not as dominant as she was in the beginning. Katie's combos started landing as well, 1-2s and 1-2-3s. Amanda is having a harder time pushing her back, but still, for the most part, she has been dictating the action. So if I were to slant the scoring anyway, it would be Amanda Serrano's way. She is a natural southpaw, Amanda Serrano usually fights from the southpaw stance. Yeah, no. They're professional boxers, Jake Gray, so no headgear. Women's boxing at the championship level is only distinguished from men's by 2-minute rounds rather than 3, and it's a 10-round fight rather than 12. Right up until mid 80s, men's professional boxing championship fights were 15 rounds. Since then, they have realized how much damage, especially brain damage, accumulates over 15 rounds. So they have shortened the fights to 12. For women's championship boxing, you have 10 times 2 minutes rather than 12 times 3 minutes. That's the only difference. Right. We have a full-blown argument now about the bombings at the end of World War II. That, of course, wasn't my intention, but it shows you how far conversation on watches can take us once we start talking about the history. Amanda is still trying to impose her will. The rounds go by really fast, at least to someone like me who is more or less used to watching men's professional boxing, which is 3-minute rounds. Again, this is 2-minute rounds. But Serrano got Katie in the corner. She seems to be inflicting some serious damage. There's one counter from Katie. She found her way out of that corner, but she seems to be buzzed a little bit. So Jay Gray, you may be right. I think the bookies have one more good decision. Katie's legs are really not looking good. She seems to be buzzed. She seems to be stumbling. Amanda is going for the knockout, putting her punches together. That was a nice uppercut. When they're in a clinch, even though Katie is the slightly bigger woman, Amanda seems to be inflicting much more damage when they're in close quarters, when they are fighting in the phone booth, so to speak. Wow. Yeah, it's not looking good for Katie. She's probably going to make it to the end of this round, even though she's stumbling, because there are only 10 seconds left. But I'm not sure if she can come out for the 6th round. She's trying to get that one counter shot that will perhaps inflict some more damage on her opponent, but things are really not looking good for her. She made it to the end of the fight, end of the round, I should say. They have stopped the bleeding. She's getting out there for round 6, but she will need, at this point, I think she will need a knockout to turn things around, and I'm not even sure if she has her legs beneath her yet, back yet, I should say, back under her. Man Against the Machine, greetings from Pittsburgh. Greetings to you. Great city there. I have only been there once. Would love to go back. Cartel Colluder, good evening, Lord. Keep up the good work, producing great content. Thank you. Thank you so much for the kind words. I really appreciate it. I don't have any panelists with me today. The link is pinned there, so feel free to jump on for the watch talk, but I'm going to continue with relaying the fight. Of course, no video or audio shared. Christian Frech, hi guys, hello. So nice to see you back. Um, yeah, Katie still seems to be shaken up from the last round. She's trying to come back with that one counter, and she really needs it. She really needs to at least buzz or knock down Amanda Serrano at this point to have any chance, because even if you have a scorecard that favors Katie Taylor, it's hard to give her more than 2 of those 5 rounds. And honestly, if I am to be fair, even though I'm a bigger fan of Taylor than Serrano, 4-1 seems to be, really the only way to score this fight so far. You might give the first round to Katie, you might give the third round to Katie, but any of the other rounds, Serrano was way too dominant. But yeah, 4-1 Serrano. 6th round is almost done. Katie's again on spaghetti legs, so to speak. Nice counter there, but she seems to be at this point barely surviving. Yeah, Serrano is a very powerful fighter, and she used to fight in a lot of lower weight divisions, so this should be refreshing for her, where she probably doesn't have to cut as much weight, and probably has even more power. Of course, that power might not be enough to knock Katie Taylor out, but Katie just looks like a deer in headlights, honestly, in the corner. But yeah, I mean, what a champ, really. That she just keeps coming back. She keeps coming back with those counters. An average fighter, I think, would have sit this out by now. Wouldn't have come out. GB, hopefully, once I'm moving in July. I think I'm gonna have a better setup. But for now, I just have to switch between different tabs, and you can probably see how that reflects on my camera. Yeah, round seven. Katie's trying to push her way back in, trying to occupy the center of the ring and not give Serrano much more momentum, but it may already be too late. At this point, Serrano is picking her punches, probing with the jab, and a lot of times leading with her left, the power hand. At this point, it's, again, if you're very conservative, you might say 4 rounds to 2 for Serrano, but to be fair, it's really more like 5 rounds to Serrano, 1 to Katie. And again, Katie seems to have recovered, at least mentally, and she's doing her best not to cede the center of that ring. Southpaw, okay, your power hand in boxing, you lead with your weaker hand in boxing. So if you're a righty, you lead with the left, so you get a better torque and better leverage on your power hand. If you're a southpaw, which means you're a lefty, you lead with your right, and so you can get more leverage on your left, right? So that's when I say for the southpaw, for Amanda Serrano, that she's leading with her left at times, it means rather than extending her jab, she is basically leading with her power hand, right? So she kind of feints, right? And then puts a straight left, which is her power hand. Yeah. another round in the books. Um, Again, more of an even affair in this round, but still, really with Serrano dictating most of the action, hard to really give that round to anyone but her. Um, we only have 3 rounds to go, and Katie is really trying to put some mustard in those counters, and that's her only chance. But that's the thing. I think Amanda Serrano also has a great chin, so to speak, right? She's not easily buzzed by Katie's shots. Not that Katie Taylor isn't a powerful fighter, but Serrano has some great punch resistance. And again, as I said, since she usually fights in lower weights, even though she has won a title before at lightweight, which is 135 pounds, I think she feels much more fresh and stronger offensively and defensively at this weight. So it's really an upward climb for Katie Taylor these last 3 rounds. Yes, of course. Like, for example, Lomachenko, the Ukrainian 3-division champion, he leads with his right, even though he's not a lefty. He leads with his power hand, basically. He fights out of a southpaw stance, but he's a right-hander. Oscar De La Hoya, for example, was a lefty, but used to lead with his left, so fighting out of the orthodox position. Andre Ward, another important champion, unified at 168 and 175. He was also a lefty, and he used to lead with his power hand, with his left as well. Both fighters are actually putting together their combinations quite well, but Amanda is just doing a much better job so far. Hard to give. All right, I mean, we're starting the 9th round, which is the penultimate round, second from last, and it's hard to give Katie more than 1 round. So again, I think at this point she will need a knockout, and even when she lands her counters, even when she puts her punches together, it doesn't look like Katie Taylor is really hurting Amanda Serrano. So power doesn't travel up in weights unless you're a Manny Pacquiao. That's absolutely true. But that's the thing, Serrano seems to actually take some of her power as she moves up in the weight, because she hurt Katie seriously in this fight and was maybe a punch away from taking her out 2-3 rounds ago. And her power was certainly enough to push Katie Taylor back for the most part. And Katie, once again, in the 9th round is on shaky legs and now is mostly in the survival mode. That was a big body shot from Amanda Serrano, pushed Katie to a corner again. Katie is trying to get into a clinch. Yeah, Katie, her nose has been bleeding nonstop, basically, since round 4, basically, maybe even round 3. And there you go, she's hurt again, and she's moving back. She's trying to use the ring. She's trying to keep on the move, but the accumulated damage is, I think, getting to her. And Serrano is just not taking her foot off the gas. Yes, Serrano has been basically finding Katie's head with her left uppercut once every so often. She has just fought overall a very good fight. Cuts the distance really well, cuts the ring really well, finds the body, and then works her way back up again. even when she gets countered, she doesn't take a step back. It's and that pressure has been getting to Katie since early on. Let's see if she'll make it to the end of this round, if she'll make it to the last round, because she's hurt seriously again, stumbling a little bit. All right, last round, folks. Last round. Whew. Honestly, I was expecting something more competitive, and again, I did say I'm a fan of Katie Taylor, but it's hard not to admire the kind of performance that Amanda Serrano put together tonight. She's fighting in her hometown. It's gonna be a fully deserved victory unless Katie finds a second wind and somehow turns this fight around in some miraculous fashion in the 10th round. They're coming together in the middle of the ring, as is customary before the last round. Oof. Serrano is not wasting a second. Just constant force. Man, it's she's like a piston, constant action, just pressuring her opponent, moving her around the ring any way she wants. And Katie started, imposing herself a little bit better since the 7th round, but not enough to keep her in the fight realistically. And she's hurt again. She's hurt. She's trying to clinch and push back Amanda that way. Amanda has a cut now. I think it was from an unintentional headbutt by Katie Taylor. And Katie is just trying to survive until the end of the fight by now. The last 45 seconds. I don't think there will be a knockout at this point. I would be really surprised if a decision against Amanda Serrano comes out tonight. And I wasn't born yesterday. Boxing is an extremely corrupt sport, so you never know. By the way, Amanda is actually buzzed now because of that headbutt. No matter how unintentional it was, it gave her a huge cut on her right brow. Oof. Katie's hurt, but the fight is over. Wow. Incredible champions. Action-packed 10 rounds. Again, hard to give more than 2-3 rounds at this point for Katie Taylor. It's gonna be a great win, a legendary win for Serrano. By now, honestly, Katie Taylor's team is already consoling her. Amanda was cut in the last round. I think it was from an accidental, unintentional clash of heads. Unintentional headbutt, accidental clash of heads. And she was cut right above her right brow, I want to say. By now already Katie Taylor's corner was consoling her. There was some bad blood between them since Katie Taylor had beaten Serrano's older sister earlier in her career. And Katie Taylor's team and promoter blamed Amanda Serrano for avoiding this fight, dodging this fight for years now. Whether that was the case or not, they fought tonight. This was one of the biggest headliners of the year. And again, the biggest fight in women's boxing in recent history for sure, perhaps ever. The numbers will come out after tonight. Yeah, there's another fight coming up. Very important one again. Men's unified championship for 130 pounds, super featherweight. So we'll see how that goes between Oscar Valdez and Shakur Stevenson. No, Katie looks okay now. I mean, it's not that bad, but yeah, I think she lost this fight. It's hard to argue for that. No, I'm not moving out of the country. I'm not moving out of the country. I'm not even moving out of Los Angeles, at least not yet. At least not yet. Perhaps soon, but not yet. Not before the end of the year, for sure. Yeah, the suspense is killing me. The suspense is killing me. They haven't announced anything just yet. Okay, wait, let me mute for a second, guys. Maybe Jay can entertain you. Hi, Jay. Let me mute myself for a second because I want to listen to the results.
Yeah, for sure. I want to stay posted. It's something that I can't bring my. It's hard enough for me to watch two men go at it. Never mind two women. That's just my take on things. But no, I don't want to interrupt. Please, let's find out the results.
Oh my God. Man, I hate this sport, man. I mean, I'm a Katie Taylor fan, so you know, in another world, in an alternative universe, maybe I should be happy about this, but she didn't deserve to win this fight. They basically gave a split decision to Katie Taylor.
And you've been saying for how many rounds that she had no legs?
Yeah, I think this is really unfair. This is really unfair.
Wow.
Her corner was
basically you said that
her corner was basically consoling her. This is wow. Again, Katie Taylor has been one of my favorite fighters in recent time, so I should be happy about this, but it seems unfair.
But you saw the performance, and now the sport has been tarnished, in your opinion.
Well, boxing has been tarnished for a long time, you know, Jay. But yeah, it never ceases to disappoint me whenever I see it. Okay, maybe we'll shift gears for a little bit to horological talk. 49's fine. Welcome back to the channel. What do I do if my AD only allocates one steel watch per customer per year? I only have one Rolex, but trying to add a few. When you say one steel watch, 49's fine, can you clarify if it's one Rolex or just one Steel Sports period? Because I don't know if we're talking about a Rolex boutique or like a multi-brand AD. Mr. Loom, welcome back. So nice to see you. Thomas Broadbent says they gave it to her. Dollars. GB Wool says, oof. Thomas says, I will have to watch it. Were they both American fighters? No. Katie Taylor is from the Republic of Ireland. She fights out of the United States these days. She's based in upstate New York, if I'm not mistaken. But at any rate, she's well, that's one of the reasons that made that fight so big, right? You know, you have a Puerto Rican American fighter, a New Rican fighter, in fact, So you have the Puerto Rican contingent, and you have the Irish and Irish American contingent as well. So it was a great spectacle for sure. 49's Fine clarifies one steel Rolex. I was going to say one steel Rolex. Thomas says find another AD. Only sells Tudor and Rolex. So they're saying you can only get one steel Rolex, and you have already gotten that Rolex. Well, Thomas says find another AD. I would say don't give up on that relationship so easily. Try to make a case for getting a second Rolex. Make a case. Tell them exactly what your collection is. Pardon me, how you're trying to build it. Make a case for yourself. Don't give up on that relationship so easily, because Rolex itself does not have such hard and fast rules as a company. All of this is AD speak. All of these are rules that they make up, which means they can break them too if they want to sell you a watch. So make your case to them. George Varghese says, your favorite boxer of all time is, purely on boxing terms, Marvin Hagler, for sure, the legendary middleweight champion. In and outside of the ring, Ali. Ali is a complete role model in every way, for standing up for himself, for his people, standing up for his principles, at the risk of losing everything.
My father met him after he was gone.
What a privilege! What a privilege!
Yeah. This next fight on the card, Stevenson Valdez.
That is another card, but that is next. I'm gonna try to pull that up in the background.
I'm looking at what the bookies are saying about it.
The bookies are probably favoring Shakur, who is younger and up and coming, and quite an interesting fighter.
Heavily favoring. He's at -800. So if you bet $1 and he wins, you win 20 cents. I think that's what -800 means. Whereas Valdez is at +500. So if you bet $1 and he wins, you get $6 returned.
Wait, let me sign in. I actually have ESPN.
And I'll remind you what the bookies had before the fight started with Taylor and Serrano. Taylor was the underdog at +162. So $1 bet would return $262 for that win. That's more than double your money.
I'm trying.
But this is all regulated, right? There's no way this is fixed.
Well, God knows what you can call fixed. I mean, even in sports that have a national league and that are properly regulated, you see all sorts of scandals, and like whenever betting is attached, whenever this much money is attached to a sport, it can't remain pure. So
correct. Today, Scottish man John Higgins from Glasgow, he was playing in the semifinals of the World Championships. He lost his match. 10 years ago, he was caught on hidden camera saying, "I will throw this frame in this match." So the people that he was sharing the information with on hidden camera knew that he would not win this particular frame. And they sat there and made arrangements about a house in Spain. And today he was in the semifinals of the World Championships. He received no sanctions.
Christian Frey says, Katie did it again. Yes, she did. I think, look, I mean, GB is saying that she came back strong in the last few rounds. She came back stronger than what she showed in earlier rounds. So I can see ways of giving her 3-4 rounds, maybe. But 4 rounds out of 10, that still doesn't give her the fight. Anyways, I mean, I'm not gonna, you know, I don't have it in me.
I'm gonna guess that the referees had some bad seafood before the fight.
Yeah, the judges usually have something in preparation for the fight, for sure. George Varkey says, marvelous Marvin Hagler was a great boxer. My favorite was Tyson when Customato was managing him. Absolutely. He's still the youngest heavyweight champion, for sure. Do I remember the Holmes Holyfield fight? I do not. I think I was too young for that. I know, again, I aged like an avocado, but I'm only 37 years old. But I have gone back and watched a lot of Holmes's important fights, not all of them. One of my favorite boxers, probably one of my favorite heavyweights of all time, easily in top 10. That guy had a jab, for sure.
Did you see Mike Tyson's most recent punches?
Unfortunately.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I don't think he I don't think he will get away easily, unfortunately. But look, I've seen some of the footage, and the guy was just heckling him, basically.
Oh, yes, he was.
And I think in the social media age, a lot of people have gotten used to saying all sorts of shit and getting away with it.
The suggestion made to me by the person that brought this into my area of recognition last night, my friend, have you seen that? No, I haven't. Looked it up, watched it. He said, I bet you those guys did it on purpose, and they're going to have an NFT in a month. It's a new angle for the paparazzi.
Yeah, maybe that was particularly the intention. But I think, honestly, it's just, in general, people have developed very sociopathic and interesting kinds of behavior on social media, and some of that is bleeding back into everyday life and face-to-face interactions, and people, since these kinds of people have been getting away with that kind of behavior on the internet, I think when they carry over that kind of behavior into real life, sometimes they realize a little too late that their behavior has consequences, and some of those consequences are physical.
Well, Tyson is the biggest lamb out there. He's a big kitty cat. He's got a really nice, interesting perspective on life. And look, to see him lose his cool like that. Before I even saw it, I said to my friend who said, Mike Tyson did this. I said, what? He doesn't have security? He doesn't have security? Why would it even come to that for the poor guy?
Well, look, I mean, here's the thing. Mike Tyson was really, when he was in Catskills with Customato and Jim Jacobs, his co-manager, they really formed this guy as the ultimate student of boxing. He used to train basically the entire day, physically and mentally. At that time, Jim Jacobs had like thousands of tapes of basically all the historic fights. This is long before YouTube, of course.
Do you think that if they had been football coaches or baseball coaches, that Tyson wouldn't have been less successful?
Well, I don't know. Let me finish this thought first. So he basically he's still to this day, intellectually, I think one of the most solid boxers. He's one of the best students of the game still. And after all those scandals, the guy spent some significant time in prison because of that rape charge. I thought he reformed himself, and I think for the most part he did. I think he is a much better man now than his worst days. But he's a fighter. There is something very different in a real fighter, in a fighter of Mike Tyson's level, and that's never going to go away.
He said publicly that he didn't want to train because it would bring that beast out of him.
Right.
He said it publicly a couple of years ago.
That's right. In an interview with Joe Rogan, actually.
Correct. But now he has been training since then.
Of course.
And then he gets confronted by who knows what kind of troll that was, and just broke the limit.
Do you remember Roy Jones? This is my way of answering your question earlier.
No, Roy Jones. No.
Roy Jones was probably the most important fighter in the 90s. He started at 154 and won titles all the way up from middleweight to heavyweight. 5-division champion. And he said something about his preference for boxing among all sports, because when he was younger, of course, he was playing basketball, and he continued playing basketball at the semi-professional level, even along boxing. And he played football as well. And he said, again, because he's a fighter, right? He said that boxing is the only sport where I could get my leg back. So, because in football, someone tackles you, within the rules of that game, there's no way of getting back to them, right? There's no way of putting them, punching them back or pushing them or getting your leg back, as he literally put it. So I think Tyson was born to be a fighter, and the fact that they actually managed, Cus D'Amato, Jim Jacobs, and Mike Tyson himself managed to channel that spirit and that potential enough to make him the youngest champion in heavyweight boxing history, I think is enough of a gift. I wish he could have a longer run. I wish he could not have made all those mistakes in his personal life. But Mike Tyson is Tyson. I mean, it's Iron Mike is always going to be a special event, an important episode in boxing history, and I still respect him even for all his mistakes as a boxer. He's very important.
Well, he did, yeah. As a boxer, yeah, important. He didn't make mistakes as a boxer. He was born fighting on the streets.
Yeah. George Varghese says, best fights I've seen, Pacquiao versus Mayweather. My best fight I've seen, and I've actually seen this, again, I said many times, Vegas is not my scene, but for this, I went to the T-Mobile Arena, Triple G versus Canelo. That was the best fight, the first one, 2017. Thomas says, Tyson is the greatest schooled, educated boxer. I agree. 49. Sorry, go ahead.
There's no way that Tyson really could have played this team sport, now that I reflect.
Yeah, it would be hard. So George is still enjoying Bali. I wanted to ask this question to him as well. George, if you're still there, did you take any watches? And George says, only my red Sea Dweller and my Apple Watch. No need to attract too much attention in a tourist area. Good choice. I'm guessing this is Sea Dweller 43. That's a great watch to take. Yeah, we were just talking about this airplane incident with Mike Tyson. 49's fine. Pardon me. Right. You meant Pacquiao Mayweather and Pacquiao De La Hoya. Yes. All right, guys. The Shakur Stevenson Oscar Valdez fight, I think, is coming up. Maybe not next, but Keyshawn Davis and Esteban Sanchez fight just ended. Right, guys, we have been live for an hour now. We talked a little bit about watches, quite a bit about boxing. So if you have been here and you're enjoying the content, please upvote, support the channel, share the word, spread it far and wide. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers. Let me check where I am now. I was closing in on 500, only 2 away now. So if you could share the channel on other platforms, I would very much appreciate it. I'm trying to get monetized, of course. In the meantime, if you want to encourage me, if you want to support me to create new and original content, consider making a PayPal contribution at lordhellespontv@gmail.com, lordhellespontv@gmail.com. I also have my Cash App, which is $LHVVV, $LHVVV. Yeah, I mean, ST43, the Sea Dweller with red writing, is my favorite in the current lineup, so can't argue with that. Although I was tempted to ask George whether you would take your white gold Odysseus with the rubber strap for something like this, but I guess you made a good choice. But I would be very interested. George says, other than JLC, what are your favorite brands? Okay, I'm actually a Rolex fanboy, so that's one. Jaeger-LeCoultre is 2. Audemars Piguet for the Royal Oak, I think, is one of them. And Lange is actually, I think, maybe tied for that 3rd spot. I think actually I would rate, as a brand, I would rate, for me personally, Lange higher than Audemars Piguet. But Royal Oak is one of my favorite watch designs, or favorite designs of all time, I should say. I think for me, the 3 best watches are the Submariner, Rolex Submariner, Jaeger-LeCoultre Reverso, and Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. But hopefully I'll get a Lange someday, sooner than later. What are your favorite brands, Jay Gray?
All of them, Lord, all of them.
You don't make any distinctions, you just like watches.
I like the nice ones, like anything. Like music, I like nice music. I like good music. Do I narrow it down to only one type of music? No.
Yeah, you would want to keep an open mind, for sure. George Vardy says, which Lange? I think for my first and perhaps only, I think I would love Lange 1 in pink gold. I think that would be a good choice. And I also know, George, whether it's steel or white gold, and the titanium one is going to be not only limited production but limited edition anyways. I think the Odysseus, they don't sell for your first purchase anyways, so it will be unrealistic. So I think it would be a Lange 1 in pink gold. Thomas says Vacheron Constantin, Rolex, and Jaeger-LeCoultre. Great choices. Chang says, yes, Chang actually started the Bell & Ross fund for me with a very generous PayPal contribution yesterday. So if you want to force me to get a Bell & Ross, feel free to make a PayPal contribution, like Chunkster, one of the biggest supporters of this channel. Thank you so much. I have a secret passion for Bell & Ross. Four Nice Fine says, Lord, do you visit a Rolex AD frequently? Not as frequently as I could, I have to say. maybe I drop by once every 2 months, sometimes once every month. But yeah, the SD43 is the only watch that I would get. So, and I'm not even dying to get that one. Maybe I should play it harder. I don't know, but I guess I just don't care enough, because I feel like if they don't give me that, I can get 2 other watches, probably like 2 other reversos. So why bother? Thomas says, in response to what you said, Jay Gray, they're like favorite kids, hard to choose just one. 49's Fine says, George's favorite brand is Lange? Probably. 49's Fine. For me, it's the black dial Lange 1 moon phase. Honest conversation about FB. I'm guessing we're talking about Mr. Jean, François Paul. We can get to that. Is there a steel version similar to yes, the original Vacheron 222 had a steel version. I can bring it up. Let's see. Vacheron 222 steel. There we go. It had like, they're very expensive now. They used to be, you couldn't, the secondary dealers couldn't give them away. Now they are listing at crazy prices. Of course, the remake is only in full gold, yellow gold, with the champagne dial, which is a great look. Pardon me. So this is the 222. Look at that crazy, insane price. And it's not even in impeccable condition or anything. Yeah, and for me, this is what I would like.
To me, that looks dated. Wow, that's a crazy price.
The 222? Yeah.
It looks dated.
I understand. It's a very, very 70s.
It doesn't have a classic look to it.
Yeah, so this is the Lange that I would love to have, and that is relatively realistic for me to get in a not too distant future, but it's gonna take a while. It's gonna take some wheeling and dealing. I'm gonna need to be monetized, guys. But yeah, with the moon phase, of course, it's even more beautiful. I can see that. I think against the silver dial, looks great. Let's see, black dial moon phase was what 49's Fine was asking for. I think that has a sky that is a darker blue. That's a beautiful watch as well. Yeah, they make the starry sky really well in Lange watches. I really like that. George says, in 2021, Smoking Joe Farmer.
What's going on, Lord?
Hey, man. So nice to see you here. George says, I walked into a Lange AD in 2021, tried on Odysseus white gold and rubber strap, and the AD allowed me to purchase it with no history at all. Now I buy all my Lange through him. Well, maybe I should go to Costa Mesa and finally pestered them a little more seriously about some of these watches. And George confirms that, yes, my favorite brand is indeed Lange. And people are frustrated with the price that the steel vintage 222 commands. George says, my first one was a Lange 1815, which I bought in St. Moritz. Turned the watch over. It was love at first sight. Of course, the 1815 movement is a legend. Couldn't care what the dial looked like. Let's see. Let's bring up Lange 1815 movement. How are you doing, man? What are you eating?
It may sound kind of gross, but it's pizza. Yeah, it's pizza. It's pasta, or at least their spin on pasta. It's like goulash.
Okay.
It's actually not that bad for carryout.
I just can't visualize it really. That's all. This is the movement.
The first thing that comes to my mind is deep dish pizza with.
Think of like a Mike the Snake specialty TV dinner, except slightly better.
Okay.
Mean. But I do remember one of the pictures that Mike showed of his dinner didn't look all that appetizing. I will put it this way. Okay, so 49's fine. I'd wear that watch backwards just to see the movement all the time. Yes, Lange's movements are just a work of beauty and art. And when it comes to some of the chronograph movements, it's like an entire building. It's like architecture more than, or like an urban landscape. I'll pull that up as well. 49's fine. Thank you. I'm just checking now in the background. Thank you so much, 49's fine. I appreciate that. I'm very grateful. 49's fine. Just to have you here day after day, show after show. That's great. But the fact that you are making a PayPal contribution, it's very generous of you. Thank you. Aldis says, Lord, who you got for tonight's fight? Oscar Valdez, Shakur Stevenson is next. I'm going to bite the bullet and go ahead and say that Stevenson by late stoppage, actually. I think it's easier to say that he will win by decision, and probably that's what's going to happen. But I'm going to bite the bullet and say he'll win by stoppage. 49's fine. Please don't dox me. 49's fine. I won't tell anyone that you are 49's fine. Wait. Let's full screen this.
It's kind of like a hot dish type thing.
It kind of looks like baked ziti that I used to eat in New York.
It's not bad, honestly. Like 2 trays is like $20. Not terrible.
It actually looks appetizing to me. Okay.
So, like a lasagna casserole type of thing.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Piruka says, Lange und Söhne offer beautiful watches. I would love to own a Saxonia. Absolutely. I actually like the Saxonia moon phase they do as well. And for those who somehow can't get on board with the symmetric dial design that's so characteristic of the Lange 1, Saxonia offers a more traditional alternative, although again it has the oversized date display that has by now become a trademark of Lange und Söhne. I do want to show a picture of the datograph chronograph movement because it's really like it's an experience to even glimpse into it from a photograph. Look at this. Can you see it, Jay? And
Yes.
It's like a little city, you know.
right. You know, it's like an entire building. You can see how they, you know, they don't just talk the talk, but walk the walk as well. Everything is hand finished. Everything has some sort of decoration on it, and you know, there's so many different layers and so many different things going on. It's really a beautiful sight. Of course, the swan neck that is hand engraved. Yeah, I mean, that balance cock itself, it's something, but amazing. I think that is another kind of grail for many, right? To have a hand-wound chronograph from one of the big makers, and Lange certainly makes one that is beautiful inside and out.
Do you think? I know Archie kind of jokingly said like he'll never buy a German watch, but do you think he'd ever get rid of some of his girly size Pateks and get a Lange, or do you think he's going to be stubborn on that?
I think over the years he softened up on that quite a bit. I have to say. Look, I mean, I joke around sometimes, and people don't want to take this joke, but hey, fuck them. But I say, like, you know, they should give me a watch for reparations. But for me, I'm not a person who holds grudges over generations, right? For all the people on this earth, at least the Germans did the work of agonizing over their mistakes and did the work of paying reparations, did the work of educating younger generations about the crimes of the Nazi regime. At least they faced their past in some way. So if we are taking that sort of, you know, those sorts of words seriously, not that I would want to involve them in a horological discussion to begin with, I have no problem with the Germans, and certainly I have no problem with German watches. For me, Lange presents one of the climaxes of watchmaking. So it would be unfair to just brandish them like that. And again, for my part, I never had problems with Germans, anyways.
A little
Well,
off topic, but didn't Germany just get done paying their debt due to World War II like 5 years ago? It wasn't that long ago. It was kind of like it was kind of major news, but it just got lost in the headlines. I don't know. I could have sworn they just got done paying off that debt like not too long ago.
It's relatively recent. The Breguet tradition, 495, 797. Wait, didn't they put that on Ben Affleck's wrist for the Batman movies he did, like Batman versus Superman? Anyway, let's someone remind me, or was that another Breguet? Yeah, this is crazy. I think, doesn't JJ has this watch?
I believe he does, yeah. Except his is in rose gold, I think. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Okay. Yeah, this is crazy as well. Yeah, beautiful. Breguet and Lange actually have, when it comes to the case design, they have similar aesthetics insofar as they both harken back to these like pocket watches converted to wristwatch kind of vibe. So I can certainly see that sort of inspiration. Let's see, this is the rose gold version, I think, right? Yeah.
It's really beautiful, but I hear these things are like really tall, like they're 15 millimeters thick almost.
They are. Let's see if it says something in the specs.
At least that's what I thought I heard. I could be completely wrong on that.
It says, yeah, that's not incredibly thick. It says 12.10 millimeters case thick.
Oh shit, I'm way off on that. Then my mistake. Okay, well,
That's not too bad at all. Piruka says Breguet tradition is also very nice. Thomas Broadbent says, if you're asking for the Breguet, is there a steel version? I'm not sure, actually. Someone can educate me, but I think it's only in precious metal. Yeah, it says available in rose gold and white gold, in yellow gold with different hand-engraved dials in gold, including a blue version in the white gold model. Or am I getting confused here? Yeah, I think it's only in precious metal, or in 3 shades of gold. Let's put it like this, because it doesn't say platinum or anything else either. George says, sent you some photos. Let's see, George. Pull them up. Oh yeah, this is George's collection. Let me. Only 6 of them, but we'll pull them up. We'll save the images so we don't release any information. Okay, let me pull up this. Share screen. There we go. We have here the centerpiece, which is the white gold Odysseus. Yeah, I think this is a beautiful watch. I like it more every day. Honestly, I think I like it better than the all steel version, in all fairness. Maybe that 5-link bracelet design is what gets to me. This is the Patek, of course. Wow. Nice. That's the 5905, was it? Right. I'm not always good in reciting these reference numbers, so help me out, George, if I'm not getting it right, but I think that was it. I think that was, or what, 5960? $59.60, I think, right? $59.60 in steel. Guys?
oh, I mean, I have no clue on Patek references. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's
Lange.
I think that's the 5960 in steel. And then we have a very nice Audemars Piguet Royal Oak chronograph there. The newer generation, of course, with the date window there and the smaller third subdial there. And the second, yes, 5961A, which is for acier, which is for steel. And there we go. This is the Saxonia. This is the flyback chronograph. And then that's the Sedona gold, they call it, right? What was it? What's Omega's
No,
version?
I think that's right. Sedona or red gold or what? Moon gold.
Yeah, moonshine. Is it? This is also called moonshine.
I call it rose gold. I mean, there's no point. I mean, I get it's Omega's way of not stepping on the tail of Rolex and everybody else, but it's just rose gold, honestly. And I have actually seen one of these in person. Very beautiful, very, very heavy because it was in 44 mil.
Yeah, to address the earlier question, Thomas, steel langes are extremely rare. They have never been until the sports watch, until the Odysseus. They never had serially produced a steel watch, and whenever a steel lange watch went into auction, it did incredible numbers. It reached an outsized price, really. So up until today, the only lange watch that you can get in steel is the Odysseus with the steel bracelet, and I only mean that figuratively because most people really can't. I think you have to have made a few purchases before you qualify for that. And 4.9's fine, you're absolutely right. I should have rotated the first picture too. I will go back to it. My apologies. This is the first one, just so we give that its due as well. 5990, 5961A. The steel sports chronograph there from Patek. We have the white gold Odysseus. We have that Audemars Piguet Royal Oak chronograph, again, one of my favorite designs of all time. Yeah, I mean, that's this is a very impressive trio right here, which I would love to have myself.
That's a fuck you, I'm rich collection. You know, I can piss on the punters who are lesser than me type of collection.
Hey, well deserved, well deserved. George, I know works very hard for his money. If I'm not mistaken, he's a surgeon. You know, people's lives are in this guy's hands, so he deserves the fruits of his labor. And this is the other trio, Speedmaster in Sedna Gold, 1815 flyback chrono, and 1815 the two-hander with the seconds on the subdial. Yeah, I think I said something stupid like Sedona or something. It's Sedna, obviously. Yeah, 4.9's fine says, I used to have a white dial Speedy racing. It was just too big for me. This Sedna Gold is also the racing version, right? It's a very big watch, but hey, I think I was talking with Joe about this in another context, specifically about day dates, right? You know, the day date 40, even though classically they have been 36, day date 40 just sounds right? Because if you're going to have a gold Rolex, it better be big as well. George says, 4.9's fine. The Speedy was bought through my friend who is a gray market dealer and price was well below retail. Thomas Broadbent says, savoir faire. 4.9's fine. That's awesome to have a friend in the business. Chunkster says, which one is the beater watch? My guess is Chunk, since he took the Sea Dweller 43 to the vacation to Bali. I'm guessing this is it. George says the 4.9's fine. I have a wrist size about 7.7 inches. The 44 millimeter. This is the Speedy Racing. Fits well. What do you think about this collection, Joe? Do you approve?
A collection like that does not need my approval. You know, I've got a box full of shitters compared to this.
Will you be able to sleep tonight, Joe?
Oh no! Without a doubt, Lord, I'm gonna lose sleep over this collection. I'm gonna lose. Shit. I will say this though. I'm seeing a lot of leather and not enough hot steel sports models, as Archie would say. You need a Rolex. Every man needs a Rolex.
You do realize this is only part of his collection, and there's a Sea Dweller 43 on his wrist, and that Patek Chrono in the other trio is also full steel, which is very rare anyways, and it's already discontinued if I'm not mistaken. But yeah,
either way though, it's an impressive collection. BS aside, it's an impressive collection. Yeah, I mean, what can you realistically say about that other than absolute mad that there's a lot of money sitting in that little wristwatch roll there, but so it's well-deserved money.
Audemars Piguet is all steel, of course. The Patek Chrono there is full steel. He has the SD43, and he also has the Odysseus in full steel as well, in addition to this white gold one, if I remember correctly from the earlier conversation. Oh yeah, 49 Fine says these are only 6 of his 150 watches. He's a genuine watch enthusiast. Thomas says, I like the collection. The Lange lean is his calling. Got to be the man. Good to be the man. Yeah. And 49 Fine, thank you again for reminding my stupid head to rotate those pictures. Oh. Wow, I just completely, of course I was making fun of a certain character in the Archieverse, but I obviously, gushing over this collection, I completely forgot about the fight, and already we're in the third round in Shakur Stevenson versus Oscar Valdez, and the dynamics of it seems very much like expected. Valdez is trying to put pressure. Shakur is using the ring. Shakur is also a southpaw. Valdez is an orthodox fighter, so we have a similar matchup like Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. Shakur is the bigger man. He's taller. He has a bigger frame at 130. He's using.
Stevenson has gone from -800 to -1200.
Yeah, he's
since the fight started.
My regular co-host has returned.
Break out the Krispy Kremes.
G'day, guys.
Hey, Pops.
Hey, man. So nice to see you, man.
How's everyone doing tonight?
Good. Actually, I was a little bitter about the first headlining fight. I think the decision was a little unfair, even though it went for the fighter I was supporting initially. I didn't think she deserved to win. But hey, other than that, we were having a great discussion on watches, a little bit about boxing as well, and we were gushing over George's collection, or like a segment of his collection, before you just dropped in.
Cool.
Yeah, there was the steel Patek Chronograph 5960 that was discontinued. There was the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, again steel chronograph, kind of their version of the Panda, and Odysseus in white gold on rubber strap, Lange 1815 Chrono, and what am I forgetting? Yes, Omega Speedmaster Racing in Sedna Gold. So,
And some fine pieces.
yeah. The guy knows his chronographs for sure. Knows and loves his chronographs. But yeah, he has, I think 49's Fine was saying maybe close to 150 watches.
Wow. It
Or
doesn't
maybe
stop. Yeah. I mean, I keep a tally of which watches I wear, and I just sort of like just keep an eye on it, like just what exactly am I wearing, how much is it worth, and am I getting real value out of these things?
Well, George probably has something to say about that too, because he's in Bali now, and he was saying that he took his Sea Dweller 43 and his Apple Watch, so he left his Langes behind.
Sea Dweller, which one?
43 for red lining, red writing.
In steel.
Yeah,
It's a nice watch.
mm-hmm.
Certainly less likely to get you robbed than the 613, the two-tone.
Yes. I thought you were gonna compare it to Langes. I was gonna say you could also, if you remove it from your wrist, I think it's a better knuckle duster than any of the Langes.
Yeah, my friend's got the two-tone Sea Dweller. I think about it a lot. It's a piece that is hard to be redundant in your collection unless you happen to have like the two-tone black and gold Submariner. But many people prefer the bluesy if they're going two-tone Submariner. So yeah, the two-tone Sea Dweller is something I keep thinking about. It's an amazing piece. And the Sea Dweller 43 overall is great. But once you have a sub, it's hard to justify.
It's hard. Guys, do you think you can take more? Because George sent 4 more pictures. So do you want to be able to sleep tonight, Joe?
No, absolutely not.
No, we are ready to pull an all-nighter. All right.
100%. I don't want to sleep for a week.
I mean, honestly, I think this might inspire you to perform strange acts through the night. Take a look.
Nothing new there, Lord.
You don't need watches for that.
No encouragement needed.
So let's see. I actually put it on the photo album. So we took a look at this, but since Oz just joined us, this was the Speedy Racing in Sedna Gold, the 1815 Chrono, 1815 here in the two-hander with seconds on subdial, 5960 in full steel, the Lange sports watch, the Odysseus in white gold on rubber band. And then we have, nice, this is the white gold Daytona, I think, with the blue dial, sodalite dial, I think they call it. Is that right? The new white gold Pepsi with the blue dial.
I haven't heard a nickname for that one. Yeah, there was something about the blue dial that I had to spot the other day, whether or not you had an 11 series GMT or a 12 series GMT between the white golds. How could you tell if it had the black dial, whether or not it's actually the white gold? And that is, it's on Oyster bracelet combined with a dial that does not have the crown at 6 o'clock. That's the only way you can tell if it's white gold, because the oyster bracelet came to the regular Pepsi in 2018,
Right.
but you could not have gotten that combo until 2018, which would have the crown on the dial instead. But if you always had the blue dial, then you're always good. But yeah, so figuring out whether it's the 9 on the 11 series, it's so niche.
I think this does have the crown. The picture is not too high quality, but yeah, I can see that. And this is a white gold Daytona too, if I'm not mistaken. It's the total
What color is that dial on the white gold? Is that the blue, but we're just not seeing it correctly?
I think so. It's what do they call it? Sodalite, something of that sort. Let's see, Sodalite Daytona white gold. Let me pull up a picture on the other. Yeah, I think it might be. I think that's it.
I think it probably is. Just the photo is not showing the color on it, but that's understandable.
Yeah, I think that's it. But George is still with us until he takes off for his customary lunch and cocktails, so he can remind us again. But this was blue dial white gold Daytona, so maybe not Sodalite, but still blue. The other is the white gold GMT Master 2, and so the next one, I think this is the steel Daytona with the ceramic bezel, black dial. I'm guessing also steel, blue dial, Sky Dweller, Batman. Again, very impressive.
Yeah, these are freaking heavy hitters in the Rolex lineup.
But the funny thing is, we got used to even heavier hitters. By the time we came here, it's like, well.
Yeah.
As Archie would say, these are nothing watches. They're not very special.
Well, I mean, it's so weird. Like, go back to those last three. It's really hard to decide whether or not these are, let's use a more specific term, more exclusive than I think the next three. Because I think the next three have some precious metals in there. And even I'm still scratching my head as to which ones are actually harder.
Yeah.
What I'm scratching my head on though is why is there stickers and bezel protectors and tape on them? Is he not wearing them? Is he getting them? Just sitting on them to flip?
This looks like a travel pouch, so maybe this is just.
Well, I don't think
storage.
I don't think George needs to flip, or I don't think he flips his watches. But if he genuinely has 150 watches, which I think is what I heard before, obviously, he's not just cycling through. Like I have 6 luxury watches, for example, so I basically wear one every day of the week if I can, unless if I put some of them to the bank. And then I have my 3 Seikos as well. But again, they're in constant rotation, so I don't need to actually wrap them up to all this well. But if you have more than 100 watches, chances are you are going to wear them 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it does shift. At some point, the watches spend more time in collection than they do on your wrist, and that'll happen as soon as you've got 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Right.
George says, as I guessed, haven't flipped a single watch in my life, just kept on for no reason. I know the reason. You are a watch collector. Once you have the buck, you just work on the next one. Nothing.
At least we know he's no Cameron, right? He's no Cameron.
No comparison. Cartel Colluder says Stevenson is winning the fight. I agree. I'm shuffling back and forth. I think so, and believe me, Shakur is dangerous. I think he has the power to take Valdez out. I think he's going to win a decision, but I did say in the beginning that I'm rooting for a late round knockout by Shakur Stevenson. Andrew says, welcome back, Andrew. It's lovely to see you back. George Varghese, beautiful watches. I just tuned in. Do you mind me asking what reference the Omega Sedna Gold Speedmaster is? If you can provide that, George, we would much appreciate it. So this is, these are the 3 steel stunners that George shared with us. The blue dial Skydweller, the black dial ceramic Daytona, and the Batman. Batman.
In response to why they're all covered up,
Yes, sir.
you always protect your children. And because you don't wear your watch every day doesn't mean it's not a cherished child. So how can you get rid of a child?
It's quite simple. It's quite simple, but that's a very dark joke that I'm not going to follow through with.
You're a farmer. You're a farmer. You got a different take on things than I do. I'm a city boy.
Smoking Joe. Not taking prisoners. So he has Cameron. He has a rose gold Skydweller on Oyster Flex, and he has the white gold silver dial Daytona on Oyster Flex as well. Any comments, friends?
I absolutely want that Daytona.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. I love all of the precious metal Daytonas in almost every single configuration at this point, and I would love to have one by the end of the year. Preferably something like that on the metallic dials, on the Oyster Flex with ceramic bezel. It's so cool.
They just do it right, don't they?
By the way, Stevenson is having fun. He's smiling. He's dodging most of Oscar's.
A bit of showboating.
A little bit. He's very good on his feet. I think he has great control of the ring. He has incredible IQ. Great boxer. I can't believe this guy is only 23, 24 years old. He's
gone from minus 800 to minus 4,000 since the fight started. Yeah.
Andrew says, thank you. Nice to see you too. It's 5:13 a.m. here. Yes, maybe you're up for boxing? I hope so. 4-9 is fine as laughing. Andrew says, incredible collection. I absolutely love 116509 white gold blue dial. Yes, sir. That's the dream Daytona right there. Stellar variations, Thomas says. The last one is the James Cameron Sea Dweller. That's what I guessed. And one of the best collections I've seen. Well done. Keep collecting. Oh, we're not done. We're not done, even with the pictures that George sent us. There's one more. We have here the FP Jaune. I think that's the Havana dial, right? Yeah, that's the Havana dial Chronomètre Souverain. Wow, that's a nice one too. And then we have the Patek annual calendar. And then we have a Patek Calatrava there in white gold. Man. Okay. It's great. That Havana dial I've always loved it. If you have any pictures of that, like any single shots of that, George, that you can share with us, please do send me another pic. Okay, there's one more. There's another trio that just came in. But yes, if you have any close-ups of the FP Jaune, I would love that as well. Let's see. This is the last one. Can you guys see this?
I see 2 subs and
No. Those aren't subs. Those are sea dwellers.
Sea dwellers, right? Yeah.
Sorry, gentlemen. I see 2 divers and what looks like a two-tone Daytona.
With a
And he's
mother
got
of pearl.
2 very rare sea dwellers, right? Am I mistaken? These are both the last 40 millimeter sea dwellers without, well, one without a Cyclops and one with. Is this?
I think one is SD4000, which was
Yeah.
the last one without the Cyclops. This is the one on the left.
40 millimeter modern. Yeah.
The middle one is, I think, SD43. Actually, it's
Yeah.
just angle that's fooling us, and the fact that they fucking got the proportions right on the SD43, so it looks very, very.
Yeah.
Right.
If you saw it like at a little bit of an angle, so you could see its depth, you wouldn't make the same mistake in real life. But yeah,
Right.
it's absolutely right. The one on the left, I considered getting, like recently. Like I'm still thinking about it because it really is special, and I'm just one of those guys that just demands that a sea dweller doesn't have the Cyclops, and so it's one that I eventually see myself wanting. And they're only going to keep going up. I think they're about, 28,000 now? I don't know.
Yeah, this was again, I had the right guess. This is the FP Jaune Chronomètre Souverain Havana dial in platinum. And yeah, this is the SD4000, which has been discontinued. And I don't think they will ever come back without the Cyclops, honestly. So that's a good call there. Oz, this is the SD43 and a 2-tone Daytona mother of pearl dial with factory diamonds as well. Very cool.
So the SD43 he's got with him right now, holidaying.
I think so. Yeah, that's what he said earlier. That's what.
What we don't get to see here is like the dials themselves. I don't know if the SD4K has a significantly different dial to the 43. The 43's got a sort of matte-ish dial. It wouldn't surprise me if the 4K is just like the sub with a more lacquer dial.
I think so, but George can clarify that. George, if you have it, I know you don't have both of them next to you, but do you remember how your dial differs from SD43 from SD4000? I think the way Oz described should be good. Andrew says Old Firm today. Yes, this is one of the biggest derbies in world football or soccer. That's the Glasgow teams, the 2 big teams, Rangers versus Celtic. Thomas says, what? No more Langas? Big Mitch says, I told the Rolex if I ever got a rose gold Daytona, I'd melt it down for a belt buckle or use it as a wheel grip on my tractor to piss off Cam. I think rose gold Daytonas on Oyster Flex are pretty amazing as well. Thomas Broadband, what? Only 4 Daytonas and 3 sea dwellers? Knob Gunner, hey man, welcome. You came in right at the time because you're a sea dweller guy. So we had just received this picture from George with his SD4000 and SD43. So cheers to you as well, Nub. I'm losing my signal once every so often for boxing. I guess too much on my silly little internet. Let's see. Yes, we're in the 8th round now. Yeah, I don't think Valdez is finding a way in. He's landing some punches, but by and large, Shakur seems to be in control of the fight. He's really keeping him at bay with his long jab, finding his body, checking him with counters once every so often. hard to see if Valdez can find a way back to this fight at this point. Knob Gunner says SD43 in my wrist now. Guys, we have just crossed 2 hours. Once again, I really appreciate your presence and support. If you have been listening to the show and enjoying the content, hit that like button, upvote. I really appreciate it. Look, my best friend is in the frame again. He is supporting us as well. Aussie Expat and Aussie Junior, always here showing their support. We appreciate them. If you could spread the word about the channel on other platforms as well, I would really appreciate that. I'm trying to get close to 1,000 subscribers. That's the best kind of help. Until I get monetized, of course, if you want to encourage me, if you want to support me, consider making a donation on PayPal at lordhellespontv@gmail.com. That's lordhellespontv@gmail.com. I also have a Cash App, $LHVVV, $LHVVV. George says the left one was Rolex SD 116600 or SD 4000. The middle one is SD 43. Yes. Knob Gunner, on mission, what do you prefer to wear? 49's fine. Reminds everyone to upvote. Thank you. And Thomas, where are we now? I don't know. I think we are here with Aussie Junior saying hi and showing us his what is that? It's a forklift or it's a tractor? What is it?
Yeah, it's I just broke it for him. I think it's an ice cream truck that's been converted into a bulldozer. Yeah, okay. Yep. Ice cream truck with a dump truck.
Okay, that's a secret, guys. If you have seen it, you're not telling anyone. Okay, that's Aussie Junior's special truck. Don't give away the secret, please. Knob Gunner says my only Rolex currently is SD43. I wear it every day. It's a great size and a tank.
I ask, how big is your wrist? Because on a bigger guy, it's just it's so cool. Like, I'm not saying you only have to be a bigger guy, but it's just so much Rolex on your wrist, you know.
49's fine says, Knob Gunner, what's next on your list? 49's fine. Guys, don't forget to sign up for Lord's OnlyFans. Yes, if you're into seeing hairy man naked, I will make an OnlyFans for you as well. Why not?
Definitely make you not want to sleep for quite some time.
It will probably want you to, it will probably suck away the will to life from you. So tread carefully on that ground.
Yes.
Thomas Broadbent says, subscriber count. Let's see where we stand.
You will want to sleep, but you won't want to wake up.
Do you mind if I show you the Doom Eternal while we talk watches?
Of course. I don't even know what that is. But yeah, I have still not reached 500 subscribers, Thomas. So we will need some sharing on other platforms, I think, to get those numbers up. George Vargi is gonna get some lunch. Enjoy it, man. And I'm hoping you're enjoying some drinks and cocktails as well. Give yourself a break. You are on a nice vacation. Have a great Sunday, man. Enjoy it. All the panelists and everyone in the chat, thank you so much. Knob Gunner says, I would eventually love another GMT. I used to have black. Love the Coke. Fat lady might go vintage. Yes, I love I have my Coke GMT and I love it. Mine is 16710. Fat Lady, as you know, was the first iteration of GMT Master 2 introduced in 1983. And because they wanted that jump hour GMT hand that moved independently, they came up with a new movement. And in the first iteration, that was a thicker movement. So it has a thicker case. If that's your preference, go for it. For me, I actually prefer 16710. That's my favorite 5-digit GMT. There's also 16700, 16700, and that is a GMT Master that was sold concurrently with GMT Master 2. So it has the older movement, but that's a much sleeker watch, right? You know, it's slightly thinner, maybe up to a millimeter thinner than the 16710. So if you somehow want that and don't really care for the GMT Master 2 movement that has the independently moving GMT hand, that could be an interesting choice. Andrew is not giving up on my unibrow. He says there's a niche monobrow deviant community, I bet. I'm very vanilla, Andrew. I'm sorry to disappoint. The edgiest part of my character, and perhaps my entire personality, is in that, you know, entirely invested in that single brow that I have. Therefore, I'm very hesitant to manicure it in any way. 49's Fine says, nice, Nub Gunner. I love the 1670 Pepsi. Would love to add one day. Tim Remington saying hi from Japan. Welcome, welcome. Just tuning in, just subscribed. Okay. Well, that's great news. Although, of course, Tim, I thought I already had you as a subscriber, but I feel better about myself now that I won you over. So thank you. We are only two subscribers away from 500. 49's Fine says, take care, George. Enjoy your vacation. Nobgunner says, definitely for the 5-digit GMT, you can't go wrong. Could you daily that 80s, 90s GMT? Yeah, I wear my 16753 root beer, you know, once or twice a week. Same thing with 16710, once or twice a week. I could wear any of these as my one and only watch and every day. And I used to do that, actually. I used to basically leave most of them in the bank and just have one or two at home and wear those for like 2 weeks at a time, or 3, sometimes an entire month. And I was happy with that. Andrew says, LOL, this is still the unibrow conversation. Tim Remington says, I wear a 16750 almost daily. That's the Pepsi. It's great. 49's Fine says, I'd get a 16710 with solid end links, no holes case. Yes, you go for something after 2000s. That's a good choice. I like the holes case. I actually love how the tritium ages. But right around 2000, you have the best compromise for these models. 16570, you know, the Polar Explorer 2, for example, that I have is right from there. Solid end links, holes case. It's one of the most beautiful watches that I have. But I like my 16710 too, because that has tritium instead of the Luminova. And I don't miss the solid end link bracelet, honestly. But then I wear my vintage stuff all the time, so I'm used to you know, flimsier bracelets. Knob Gunner, even swimming. Yeah, I would honestly. I mean, you have to look. if you are going to swim with a 5-digit or even a 4-digit, you have to get it checked, pressure tested, and have the gaskets checked every 6 months at least. Tim Remington says, sorry, brother, to be honest, I'm not even subscribed to Marcelo. So yeah, I understand. I was just giving you a hard time. But thank you so much for your support, man. It matters a lot. You know, I'm at the beginning of everything. So for a fledgling channel, even one subscriber makes a huge difference. Even one upvote makes a huge difference. Tim Remington says, no, not swimming. It's an 83, fine for daily wear, but not for hard weather or any hard activity. Err on the side of caution, honestly. So I think Tim has a great point there. It doesn't mean you can't swim. It doesn't mean you can't do other things with it. But, you know, for everyday wear, it's fine. But I know you have, Gunner, you have a more active lifestyle than most of us. So I would probably not take a 5-digit or a 4-digit to the range. I would probably not take it to swimming unless it's for like a special event of some sort. And you get the gaskets checked and pressure and water tested. Yeah, don't expect the SD43 kind of robustness and reliability from a 4 or 5-digit, that's for sure. But you can wear them on a daily basis.
Is the concern about... Oh, sorry about that background. Is the concern about the waterproofness of such watches in the neo-vintage era, especially, more of a value thing, or is it really that the modern watches are technically much better?
I think it's mostly a value thing at this point, because it's easier to, well, it used to be at least easier to replace the contemporary watches, right? This is no longer the case, of course.
Yeah, I mean, the prospect of like 50,000 steel Daytona, 30,000 Hulk, you know, do I wear those? I wear them, but into the pool, I said yes, but, you know, I don't know.
And you can, yeah, look, I mean, look, Rolex has a lot going for it over the years, but really what distinguished Rolex earlier in its history was the oyster case, that they had a waterproof, dust-proof, you know, solid and tightly closed case. Really distinguished them from a lot of other brands. So you can depend on Rolexes, but you know, it's an issue of value, and the fact that, again, a contemporary watch, even if something goes wrong, you used to be able to replace them, but then again, even if you can't, you can trust them to any Rolex service center, right? With the vintage, you don't really have the same option. Now they have a special restoration service, but that's so expensive and so exclusive and takes such a long time that you wouldn't use that for any other old Rolex. You know, it's really for very special examples that maybe you want to get it restored in a certain way before you put it up on a Christie's or Sotheby's or Phillips auction, something like that.
Yeah, it is interesting. So maybe the value proposition isn't different, but certainly the consequences of repair are very different.
Yeah, I think so. And again, you can take certain risks with it, but yeah, maybe tread lightly. I mean, look, I should hike and swim in my SD43. I definitely beat on mine. I don't think I would replace that with a five digit, you know, sub or GMT. It's not like they can't take it, but yeah, if you have one or two contemporary Rolexes, why bother? You know, why risk it?
On the subject of betas, I've put this together. I've got a lot of Casio Casio, because it was the first time I put the mod on. I was drunk and I
Oh,
bought the mod on.
that's the Royal Lock bracelet, right?
Yeah, I bought the mod, and I haven't decided exactly what this is. I definitely want a steel bracelet and clasp on a quartz watch, but I don't know if this is it.
Yeah. Knob Gunner says, thank you. In fact, for asking the questions. Tim says, exactly doesn't mean you can't, but it's not worth the risk. Each example ages differently. Case condition can vary regardless of new old gaskets. Yes. Okay. Well, I mean, when it comes to classic dress watches, of course, then it's not about gaskets or recent service history, of course, unless you have something at least with 100 meter water resistance, you shouldn't really take anything even poolside. And Knob Gunner says, yeah, SD43, I should hike and swim in it. I definitely beat on it. By the way, I think we are by now moving on to the last round, more or less. No? Yeah. The last 45 seconds of the fight or so. I might be lagging slightly behind. Yeah, the last 30 seconds, I will just go through it. Shakur still seems to be in control of the fight. Valdez is going for it. He is good with his counters, but Shakur doesn't seem to be really hurt or intimidated by his power. By now, he's looking at the clock, dancing around a little bit, using the ring. Valdez is going for it. Shakur is just running around the ring and clowning him. That's amazing. Oh man, yeah, Shakur is a star. He has that it factor. It's I can certainly see him becoming one of the very, very special fighters in near future. Yeah, and not to, by the way, let's not. Let's get things straight. Of course, he is. He's already two division champion. He was a champion. He was a WBO champion at 126. He's now a champion at 130, and this was a unification, so he will probably become a 3-time champion. And I think he's only 23 or 24 years old. Aussie is going to be behind the scenes for a little bit, but he is coming back. And just to own up to it, I thought maybe Shakur Stevenson could get a late stoppage, but the fight went the distance, so it's going to be a decision. But I think he should get it. I'm sure this time I won't get that one wrong, because it would be incredibly unfair. Are you already back?
Yeah, kinda. He didn't want to go to bed. He just wanted to watch me play Doom. We just left on this thing, and like what I'd really love is a quartz watch that was basically an Oyster Perpetual, just something with a solid metal bracelet and a case that was actually constructed of full metal, not just a metal facade like it is on Casios, but just a simple quartz watch with a quality metal bracelet and clasp. The form factor works really well.
Okay.
I could use a quartz version of one as a beta or whatever. And I don't know what's out there, actually. There aren't a lot.
For quartz?
Yeah.
Like a steel cased quartz watch as a sports watch?
Yeah. And somewhere under 300, maybe 400. I mean, it shouldn't be that crazy, right? I mean, aftermarket bracelet for, a Tudor is like, 150, something like that. So
Yeah.
we're not talking crazy stuff, but there just aren't many metal cased quartz watches,
Right.
especially when you go under 300, 400, where all the Casios sit.
You're right. Not at that price range for sure. And I mean, the conundrum is, of course, Swatch started making some metal cased watches, but those are the System 51. So it's their automatic watches that they gave steel cases. I'm guessing they're steel, right? The Irony series, they should be stainless steel, but those are automatic, of course, not quartz. Timex, of course, Timex Weekender is a classic, but it's not a beater in the sense of Casio that you have there.
Yeah, I'm not saying there's no such watch. I just haven't searched hard enough, maybe. Yeah. I mean, I've got the Casio Duro, which comes on a rubber strap, and I've got an aftermarket bracelet, but it's so crap that I'm not exactly sure. I'm not really happy with it.
Can you take the wheel for a couple of minutes while I listen to this decision being read for the fight?
Yeah, sure. I'll go through some comments here. So yeah, Thomas Broadbent, the Rolex quartz or Longines, these are good ones that fit the bill, unless of course part of fitting the bill is also the price, and that's the real rub. I think almost all of there's a lot of Tag Heuers that are quartz and steel case and so forth, but as much as we may denigrate Tag in this community, generally speaking, a lot of those tags are pretty pricey, actually. There is a discount on the quartz, but not a heck of a lot. The Timex, what is the Timex you would recommend? I'm not familiar with all of them. The only one I keep looking at is, like the Expedition, I think it is, which is coming with a strap and not a bracelet and clasp. Just doing a quick look up. Timex bracelet. Let's say that bracelet and quartz. It's the best that DuckDuckGo can give me. Seeing some horrible pieces. It's not looking good. It's pricey. Yeah, the price issue is that in general, I wear my luxury watches in most situations. So I'm only putting on an alternative for situations where I'm encountering a lot of sand, as an example. Now, I'm not talking about the beach. I'm like talking about going out to the desert and the range, or even if my son has been playing in the sand pit like he did today and then just decided to climb into our bed. And so there's sand in our bed, and I don't want to wear one of my better watches to bed. I normally do, but as soon as there's sand in there, I don't want to, in the middle of the night, be putting scratches on my watch while I'm asleep. People talk about earning your stripes. Oh wow! Did Lord just cross over the 500 mark? Milestone. I remember yesterday, I think he needed 4 or 5 more. Subscribers. 500 subscribers. The big 500.
Oh,
That's
Jesus
awesome.
Christ. Wow. Amazing, guys. Thank you so much. Shakur won the fight. The judges scored it to him. One of them 9 rounds to 3, and the other 2 10 to 2. So a very dominant win. He's now the WBC WBO unified junior lightweight or super featherweight, whatever you want to call it, champion at 130 pounds. Amazing. Danny Boy is here. Hey, man. Oh, that's the avatar is This guy used to be Silvio Berlusconi's finance minister, but he's wearing a Rolex there, so I thought it's a nice way of trolling just a little bit, you know, just taking myself a little less seriously than I tend to do. You know, I like a politician who wears a Rolex, so that's my shtick. Timepiece Esquire, this is my brother from Southern California, my brother from another mother. It's official, 500 subs. We're halfway there. I know Thomas has been rooting for this, so thank you so much, Thomas, for bringing the good vibes, helping us reach 500. And guys, yes, Tudor Hydronauts, I know you brought this back. I know it's also popular with some other people in the watch YouTube. Aussie, sorry, you're smiling about something. Tell me what it is.
Isn't the Hydronaut the one that looks really bad?
Look, we don't want to offend.
No, I don't know. Like, is Thomas a fun guy? Is it like I could be mistaken? I'm not super familiar with the sort of the middle era of Tudor.
Right, Austin. This is the Austin Daniels special. Austin loves these, and I don't have a case against them, but they're not my favorite watch. There it is, on an eBay listing.
Looks like there's quite a few variations of this.
I think he has a Hydronaut 2, if I'm not mistaken. Thomas has a Hydronaut 2, I think, and this is what it is. Again, I mean, this is one of the things that Tudor tried to do differently. I don't like the hands. Everything else I can live with. The bracelet is fine. You know, it's like a slightly modified oyster, I guess. The case, again, it has maybe like a rounder. It's like a rounder, softer version of the oyster case, like softer looking. The dial, I don't have anything against it, but the bezel to me is a little much.
This kid's really dedicated to the watch talk.
Okay, Thomas, yeah.
He refuses to go to bed, but sleeping out here.
Oh, he's sleeping out there. Okay, that's what I thought I saw. Angelic Slayer, thank you so much. Thank you. Bezels, thank you so much. Thank you, guys. It really means a lot. Chunkster, again, one of the loyal supporters of the channel. Angelic Slayer, the same. Thomas Broadband, of course. Aussie Expat. I think Smoking Joe Farmer is still here. So all these old guns, thank you so much. It is the older one. Okay, you have the Hydronaut 1, so my bad. Let me try to find the Hydronaut 1 in that case. Is it this one, perhaps? Let me see. The one is good, the 2 sucks. Danny Boy says it's like an ugly kid only a mother could love. Thomas says that's not my Tudor. Big Meech, I'd still wear this over a Grand Scheider. Okay, yeah, sure. I know you hate on the Seiko, and I understand. Guys, again, thank you so much. It really helps a great deal. Joe apparently just made a contribution to the channel. Is that true? Is that you, Joe? I think so. I don't know why it's it says for the clogged toilet fund. Do you have cameras inside my house, Joe? Angelix, okay, Tim Remington says, yes, I think that's the one Austin has. Yes, I hope, Thomas and Austin, wear your hydronauts in good health. Angelic Slayer says, I'd rather a 90s Tag Heuer. Danny Boy says, how's things, Big Meech? I have not talked to you for a while. I hope you're well. Joe is up to no good in the background. I can feel it. Thomas says, yes, this is the one, but with Arabic numerals and a white cream dial. Okay, let's see if I can find something similar. I found a few with a white dial here, but I can't see one with Arabic numerals. Okay, I'll just click on the white one here. Is this? No, this is not it. This is, I don't know, 2 again. Maybe this is it? No, this is Tiger. Anyway, I think
on the one that's just highlighted there.
This one?
Yeah, there's a lack of metallic dials on divers, especially in steel.
Yeah. Big Joe says, give me like 5 minutes. I'll be back on camera. Thank you. Tim Remington says, I like the Hydronaut. It isn't a traditionally pretty watch. Man, Tim, you're a sweet talker, man. Get on the panel. I want you on my panel. You put things so nicely. This isn't a traditionally pretty watch, but it's interesting. Has a unique character, and that makes it cool. Thanks for saving us, basically, Tim. Thomas says it's very rare, the dial creamed like an Explorer 2. It's that kind of cream dial. Yes. Well, let's see. Hydronaut cream dial. Maybe if I search it like that, we'll find it. No, I guess it's so rare that it doesn't come up. But just so you guys know what Thomas means, and he says cream dial. This is it. Yeah, these always used to sell for insane premiums. Especially the ones from the earlier reference 16550. You can recognize that by the different kind of boxier font, I would say, on the bezel. Yeah. And of course, the hands are in white gold and not blackened in the 16550. This.
Oh, that's some patina.
Yes, I mean, this is again a little excessive for my taste, but the earlier example that we looked at, they can be really pretty.
It might be the compression, but the bezel looks too good. Like, as in, it looks very clean.
Yeah, but you can see the the writing has come off in many ways. So, it's not as clean as it could be if it were preserved differently. This one, I think, has a nicer aging, but this is the later reference, anyways. Yeah, the cream dials are very interesting. Angelic Slayer says, such a class piece, the Explorer 2 Polar. Yes, it's I love it. It's very popular in the community, of course, since the Pontiff has it, I think. Danny Boy says, yes, 16550 is the transitional model. This came after the so-called Steve McQueen, the 4-digit first Explorer 2.
It's even the current Explorer 2s are very underappreciated. I was looking at, between 16570 or getting the 21650, I think, and the 22650. The modern ones on the gray market, they're only fetching, about 20% premium, which is basically what you're saying there is anyone that buys one probably loses money if they try sell it to a dealer. So it just means that, it's sort of level with supply and demand from an AD. You could probably get one, even though I haven't been able to get one. And everyone recognizes being one of the best, but I think just not a lot of people are pulling the trigger on them overall.
I don't know, actually, because it's first of all, I mean, it's very different, especially in white dial. It has different case dimensions than the subs, of course, than the GMT Masters. And to be honest, now we are in the ceramic bezel insert age. This is one watch that takes a different kind of patina, just like the Explorer, the 36 millimeter.
Mm-hmm.
It has a bezel that's maybe a little more vulnerable, right? But it's also a watch that ages in its way, and for me, that's something to be appreciated. So even though the new model is too big for my liking, it's too big for my taste, I do prefer the 5-digit. I still appreciate it. I think it's, again, one of my favorites in the current lineup.
I think the modern is so different. It's worthwhile entertaining the 16570 and the 216570, 42 millimeter, as being two separate watches, quite frankly. As in, you could have both in the same collection. It's such a different feel. The big 42 millimeter, every aspect of it is sort of like just everything's bulky about it.
Now that you said it, I think it's a very interesting line, Explorer 2. Let's go through them one by one. Every time they updated it, unlike many other Rolex watches where you can, put a 60s Submariner here and put an SD43 at the end of that line of evolution with a lot of different iterations in between, right? Not even just Submariners, but from 60s Submariner all the way to SD43.
A lot of evolution.
and very minor modifications. Mm-hmm. But you put a 1655 next to, what's the current reference number?
I think it's 22650.
It's like a different watch, like you said. And every generation, it's like a different watch, interestingly.
Yeah, it's... side by side, it just couldn't be any more clear that a modern one is not a substitute for a 16570 or the other way around, despite what you may get the impression from pictures. Just because in person, the absolute size of the new model is only something you know, sizes of watches are something that you have to touch and to have context for. Like I was just trying to take a picture as an example, trying to take a picture of like this ultra tiny lady's date just the other day because I was so comically small. I wanted to take a picture just to show how small there are some of these watches are, and it's like it's no bigger than like I think a dime is the smallest American coin. Is that? I don't I don't remember. It was tiny, 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 and there's no way for me to take a photo to show you how small it is in person. You know, I'd need some sort of reference card to put next to it or something like that. But it wouldn't actually give you the feel of how small that watch is. And likewise, Explorer 2, I think it looks huge, but it actually wears pretty well. I might try it on again, see exactly where that fits, but it actually wears pretty well for quote unquote 42 millimeter watch. And I think if I did get it, it would be by far the biggest watch I have in my collection, because while I do have the two Pelagos at quote unquote 42 millimeter, it wears like a 42 millimeter because that's the bezel size. The case is actually 40 millimeter. So it would be the largest watch I would have by far.
Okay, so let's go through them one by one just to illustrate our point where Explorer 2 is basically a different watch basically in every single iteration, right? So this is the original, what the Italians call Freccione because of the arrow-like GMT hand, or Steve McQueen also, right?
Is this the original?
Yeah. Why do you say that?
Okay. I thought I remembered the dial having a few more objectionable indices on it, but this isn't. Yeah, I guess it's still objectionable, but it's okay. I remember it was strikingly like this is not very clean. Basically, looks very Art Deco, like a Paul Newman dial Daytona. You know, it's got sort of a lot of elements. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's the same. It's just different,
okay.
Basically. Yeah. So this
the other picture had the same indices where it was sort of this sort of outside of the. Okay.
Yeah, just different.
No, this is very different. See the 5 minute indices, the hour markers. They're all on the same circumference. They're all at the same radius and end at the same radius. This one sort of has this sort of checkerboard thing happening with the indices. Okay. This is the one that. Okay. See, I didn't even know there was a variation that didn't have this style. Which, what's the right word for this kind of design where you're gonna love it or you're gonna hate it?
I don't know. I guess it's divisive. It's controversial.
Yeah.
But yeah, this like kind of racing track, ultra dial.
I see what it's trying to do now. Okay, so it's trying to do on the outer track a loom for the 24-hour indices, and that's why they're at such weird positions. And then all the other ones are the inside track for the 5 minute markers or the hour markers. Interesting.
Right. I guess maybe, yeah, this is even the earlier iteration that didn't have those, like you said, the loomed indices for the 24-hour markers. All right, so this is 72. That was an 82. So even there, you know, within this 4-digit difference, 4-digit models, there's a difference. And then we have the first iteration of the 5-digit, which is basically already a different watch.
Now, was the 16570 introduced in both a black and a white at the same time?
I want to say yes. Year of introduction. That was 89, and then what about the Polar? And yeah, that was 89 too. And of course there was the transitional 5-digit reference, which is 16550. I think that should be in late 80s as well. And then you have, of course, the current model. Hey, Big Meat, you're back.
Yeah.
How did you know that my toilet is clogged?
Just by based off of what I see you eat on occasion.
Fair point. Well played, Joe. Thank you. Thank you, Joe, for your contribution. On that note, guys, we're in the last stretch. We might be able to go a little longer if you encourage us, but hey, I'm very happy today. I've reached 500 subscribers. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the likes, upvotes. If you can spread the word, share the channel on other platforms as well, I would appreciate it so much. It really helps me on the path to monetization. But until then, if you want to support me, consider making a PayPal contribution at lordhellespontv@gmail.com. That's lordhellespontv@gmail.com. I also have a Cash App that apparently works, as Joe just tested it. And that's $LHVVV, $LHVVV.
I'm your first Cash App?
Yes, absolutely.
Ooh.
No.
I deserve extra perks. I deserve
No,
extra perks for that.
Ticking Time made a Cash App contribution some weeks back.
You sullied the moment.
I'm sorry, I only speak the truth. Tim Remington says it's a somewhat comical watch. This is Explorer 2. No, this is Hydronaut, sorry. If Rolex and G-Shock did a collab a la Swatch Omega, it would be Modern Explorer 2. No, this was Explorer 2. All right. Danny Boy says, Marmite. Thomas Broadband. Explorer 2 White Dial was the other Rolex 3500 all day until the time of hype. Yeah, I got mine before the hype. I was actually sad when I had to pay 4,500 for papers and box. I was like, was this a good deal?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Take it or leave it, to each his own, Thomas says. Yeah, absolutely. There's so many, like, even in our most popular brand, which is Rolex, there's so many different models where the opinion is so divided, so controversial. But hey, there's something for everyone. A great milestone. What is Ozzy playing there? I want to...
Doom Eternal. Looks like he's playing it on just casual mode, though, because it's just playing it too easy. He's not playing it on nightmare mode.
Guys, this is an incredible stream we had. We had boxing. Earlier, when we were talking about Lange, there was some World War II talk, which was a little, thankfully we got it in check since our audience is very mature and level-headed. We talked about boxing quite a bit, both about the fights today, Katie Taylor-Serrano fight, which was awarded to Katie Taylor via a split decision. I think it was a little controversial, but Katie Taylor ended up defending her titles, still the undisputed champion in lightweight for women's boxing. And finally, Shakur Stevenson became a WBO, WBC super featherweight or junior lightweight champion, unified and had won the Ring magazine belt as well. So he's now recognized as the Ring lineal champion in that division as well. Very young and promising fighter. And now we are having Ozzy play. Oh, of course, I shouldn't forget Ozzy Jr. paid a visit with his special secret truck. And now Ozzy Expat is treating us to some doom. Bloodbath. I mean, you are genuinely. Weren't you saying Junior is watching you playing this? Isn't it a little too much blood for a little one?
Yeah, I've decided to just wing it basically in terms of what I censor him to. I read a good book by who's the guy who wrote American Psycho? Bret Easton Ellis. He had a book called My Generation or something like that. But basically it talked about him growing up, and he said, like, Gen X, we never had media created for us explicitly, like for kids. The movies we'd watch were the movies that our parents would go to in the cinema, so we were never hidden from that. So he'd watch all the horror movies of the day, and that was like the heyday of horror movies as well, growing up as a Gen Xer. And I thought about that, and I thought, you know what, I like that. I think there's a certain damage that comes from like the utterly stupid kids programming that comes out these days. And there might be damage from my kid watching Aliens to, the really good one, special edition. I was expecting my son to get nightmares, and we'd have to deal with that for a week, but he just really wanted to watch the movie, and it's a very scary movie. But you know what? No nightmares. So I haven't had any issue of him watching anything too violent. And he seems to get it. He doesn't hit any other kids or anything like that. He's a very happy kid, and he sort of initially what was concerning was he would root for the bad guys more often than not. And whenever like something really bad happens on screen, he's like, "Yay, we did it!" I'm like, "No, that wasn't good." He's starting to figure out the narratives. Who's a good guy?
You have to keep that in check, because I always rooted for the bad guys, and look how I turned out. So, gotta be careful. Like I was with Star Wars, for example. I was like, "You are stupid. Your father is alive, and he's basically inviting you to join forces with him, and you turn him down. You fucking ingrate."
Hey man, because when I grew up, the media from Star Wars that I consumed that was current was actually the video game. So one of my favorite video games when I first got my PC was TIE Fighter, and in that you fight for the Empire. So I had a lot of sympathy for the Empire. Crushing rebel scum.
Yes, I remember that whole shtick about rebel scum. Yes, I had that game as well, although I was pretty bad at it. Yeah.
Lloyd, interestingly enough, I think one of the developers who created Doom, the game that Oz is playing, is actually a hardcore Christian. And I remember during like the interview, they asked him, they like, aren't you concerned like you're perpetuating, what is it, like the way they worded it is like, oh, there's Satanism and whatnot. He's like, no, like it's not. It's anything but. Like you're literally running around as one dude killing all the demons in hell.
You're killing all the demons. Yes, that's true.
There's two things I want to say about that. First of all, obviously, I'm talking to someone who is now twice a father, right? It's absolutely not my place to give any child rearing, child raising advice, because I have zero experience, right? And the second thing is, of course, I actually, I think by and large, contemporary parents, if anything, are overprotective. We grew up playing outside the entire day. No one, helicopter parented around us. And yeah, the movie ratings and how strictly they're enforced, a lot of this is very, very recent, right?
Yes, yeah.
And,
I
and
mean, I grew up where everyone in primary school, we were all talking about RoboCop. And I think if I calculate correctly, I would have been like 7 years old at the time, and everyone was like really into RoboCop. You go around the playground, it's like, dead or alive, you're coming with me. and you look at it now, RoboCop is still one of the most violent films of all time.
and guys, by
By
the way,
far.
again, I look like I'm 60 years old, but I'm actually practically the same age with Aussie expat, so we're the same generation. He's actually my elder by 1 year. So yeah, I that was one of my favorite movies. But again, for that kind of stuff, I usually had to get special permission, but I almost never had it denied. Right? You know, I had
I mean,
to.
if you weren't denied RoboCop, what the hell were you denied for?
See, my mom was extremely strict. Like, I mean, she wasn't a Bible thumper, but it definitely had a huge role in what I like how I grew up. And funny enough, so my dad got me my first Xbox, like around 2000s. Which, if you know, Ozzy,
Well,
obviously, you know, during the gaming era, 2000s was
yeah.
the sweet spot for gaming.
Yeah, and well, also specifically, Xbox was all just
Exactly.
blood and boobs. The video games at the time for Xbox, you had Blood
Right.
Rain, you had all these games that were just basically blood and boobs. And I was a PlayStation guy. I thought our games were a little bit more sophisticated, but
Right. But
especially
either
for
way,
Xbox.
though, I know my mom had told my dad, like, no violence, no violence, you know, no sex, no nothing.
That was almost
And
impossible
interestingly
back
enough,
in those days because we just got 3D games, and the easiest thing to do is to point the camera at something and shoot it. There really wasn't that much nuance in most games, apart from throwing in some conflict and excitement by shooting something. It was the heyday of the FPS.
right. But due to that decision, I was introduced to probably one of the greatest franchises ever to be made in first person shooter. It changed the history of gaming. And my very first game was Halo Combat Evolved in the 2000s.
Halo, right?
Changed everything for me. The way I game, and I still have all the Halo games. I need to upgrade to an Xbox One, but I mean, had that
I've got one.
decision
I'm
not
trying
been
to
made
get
for
rid of
me,
it.
I probably would have been like experienced to it.
But there is Joe
A mini fridge.
Yeah, I'm trying to get rid of it. I've decided it's not for me. I got one, and you know how hard it is to get these, but I'm going to make use of the free returns policy and send it back to Costco. I just don't
Like
find enough.
what don't you like about it?
There's just no exclusives on it that I can't play on my PC. That's basically it. I can pay the Xbox Gold membership or whatever it is, $5 less, and I can enjoy all of the same games except for better graphics.
We'll have to have a conversation about this because I'm still debating whether I should buy one or not.
Well, it depends if you've got a graphics card for your PC. That's the main thing.
I don't even have a PC. There's half the
So then
problem
get
right
the
there.
Xbox. Yeah.
I like it actually, Joe. I think this looks fine on your wrist.
It's a dinner plate, but I know Ozzy was saying like the Explorer 2 kind of rise differently than what you would think, and he's right. While it's still comically huge on my wrist, it's not as big as people make it out to be. I mean, yes, it's bigger than a sub. It dwarfs the Sea Dweller as far as like width, but it's not gigantic like a Sea Dweller.
Yeah. I put it on my wrist and I said I was happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
I was happy with it. Other people might say it's too big for you or whatever. And I was like, you know what? I put it on my wrist. I was happy with it. So I'd love one. To me, it's very iconic. And I love both looks. I just love the big, like side by side. I got to look at them. I was always leaning towards the 40 mil, but side by side, I just love it's just so unique. Just going that full bold on everything. It's just, it's a watch that has been put on steroids, basically.
That's true.
Well, I mean, it still has the Supermax case, I believe, or at least before they updated it, it shared the Supermax case with the Submariner.
No,
And I think it still does
it's a
have
lot.
the Supermax
It's a
case.
lot more subtle now. I think, as in,
Okay.
the tapers are a lot more subtle now.
Guys, we have now crossed 3 hours, but thanks to Four Nines Fine and Joe's fine contributions, I think we'll go for at least half an hour. And also to celebrate, of course, the 500 subs, which is a nice milestone for me. So I appreciate it. We'll go at least for half an hour. I know Chris Clues joined us earlier. So people from the UK and from Europe are waking up as we speak. So if any of them would join us for their early Sunday, that would be most welcome. Thank you, Roar of the Tiger, for upvoting. Upvote if you haven't, guys. If you have been watching the stream, if you have been enjoying the content on this channel, please upvote. I genuinely appreciate it. Spread the word. Send the link around on other platforms. It really helps me get to that first major goal of 1,000 subscribers. In the meantime, if you want to encourage me in creating more new original content, you can always make a PayPal contribution at lordhellespontv@gmail.com, lordhellespontv@gmail.com. I also have a Cash App, which is $LHVVV, $LHVVV. And if you want me to make you personalized video, or if you want to ask me a question, send me an email with a request of any sort, you can use that PayPal address for my main contact. Yeah, some bloodbath going on there.
I have the Nintendo Switch, and I've been thinking about getting the Doom Eternal, but it's so
That
expensive.
same game, right? That's what it's called, Doom Eternal.
Yeah. Except the difference is, like, it would look like a potato on a Nintendo Switch compared to PC as far as the graphics.
Okay. I see. So, Joe, you're still looking at those Day-Date 40s?
Fuck me dead, Lord. Should I? All right. So let's play a little game.
Yes.
Should I get rid of look at the current roster right now, right? So
Okay.
should I get rid of the Millie, the Sub, and the Explorer to try and fill in the gap, bridge the gap for that Day-Date 40 in yellow gold for 50 grand?
Guys, this is an interesting question, by the way. I think Joe was at the DA recently. This is the cam special, but with the fluted bezel, right? The blue
Well,
dye.
and it's also on a men's size too. That's a 41.
Okay. I love how you insist on this, that the larger size is the man's size.
It's the men's size. Yeah, and funny enough, that one was for sale and I passed on it.
Yeah, so
Hindsight,
guys,
I shouldn't have.
yeah, before we switch into anything, once again, maybe I should make it into a poll question. Say it again, what you're considering.
Oh, so it would be getting rid of. Oh, here, just give me a second here. Let me bring them all up.
Milgauss and what?
It would be a 3-for-1 essentially.
Okay.
So we'd be getting rid of all three of these for a yellow gold Day-Date 40 mil from 2022, I believe. What was it? Yeah, 2022, I believe.
Good night, Roar of the Tiger. Thanks for tuning in and staying with us. Thanks for upvoting the stream and contributing to it. I really appreciate you. Have a pleasant night and a great Sunday. So Milgauss, Submariner, and what else?
Explorer 1, 39 mil, men's size.
Okay, I just wrote in the question. So I said, should Smoking Joe roll his Milgauss, Submariner, and Explorer 39 into a Day 40?
Because those I could get 10 grand at minimum, I feel like, for each one of them. So that's 30 grand off the 50 that I've quoted you.
Why?
So then
Just
I would have
why?
20 grand to fill in the gap, which I could easily do.
But why? You really love a day date?
It's yellow gold Day 8.
Yeah, it's an icon.
It's in 40
for
mil
sure.
too. It's not like it's 36, it's 40. So it kind of makes it a little different.
I asked for one from AD, and then when I looked at it, I realized I really dislike it. And it wasn't just the yellow gold; it was I just hate everything about it.
Well, I mean, the
Like,
weight alone is heavy. I'm not going to deny that. It's be a watch that I feel like you get tired of wearing really fast.
I don't like how it's cut. It strikes me as like being many generations behind in machining or something. Like the lines are very, very straight on sort of like the case shape and the bracelet, and it felt cheap to me. I don't know what to say.
Jingly, jangly, crikeys.
No, I mean, it's I think of all watches in the Rolex lineup, the Day Date 36 or 40, I think that it's really an acquired taste. I know Yachtmaster 2 is much uglier. I know there are other watches in the range that are not necessarily well liked, but I think when it comes to the classics, Day Date is probably the one that you either love or hate. And it doesn't really have a saving grace like the Sky Dweller, for example, which can also divide opinion quite a bit. But that's an annual calendar, right? You can always say, well, it's an annual calendar. It has a GMT function. It's a great travel watch. It used to be, initially it was just in precious metal, so Rolex was very clear of its intentions about where it belonged in the lineup. So I understand. I think you either like the Day Date or you don't. To me, it's
I
still
like the Day Date, but I don't know if I like it that much. But what if I split the difference here? You got the solid gold. Go fuck yourself. You're poor. You disgust me. Bluesy solid gold Submariner for 55 grand.
I like that choice a little more.
21 box papers.
I'd seek maybe going for the older one if it's
41
cheaper.
mil, mind you. Yeah, 41.
The one with the matte dial. No, it's not matte. What am I saying? Not matte dial. It's a lacquer dial, as opposed to the metal dial. I don't know what they call that, but there are two variations out there. What do you think about that, Big Meech? Like between the two, are you familiar that one's got the sunburst and the other one's got the lacquer blue?
To be honest, no, I'm not familiar because I guess I never really look into stuff that I know either one of two things: I can't afford it, or two, like it doesn't fit my lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I think that sub would pretty much fit both categories.
Thomas says time for an intervention.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
I don't know. The Day Date is just.
I like the Day Date.
I would say if you like the Day Date, make sure you have another $40,000 on the side. Buy it from an AD because you can get them from an AD. It shouldn't be a real hassle. And then it's your ticket to like 4 other hot watches to be honest.
Well, look,
Like,
it depends.
I don't think I'd buy it, honestly. Even look, if it was at retail price, it might be a different conversation. I might pursue it maybe, but for 50, so by the time you throw taxes on there, it's going to be about 53,000.
It really depends what date it is, by the way, right? You know, it used to be easy to get a day date relatively. You would just wait for a few months, but these days, if it's like the rose gold, olive green, you can't.
Forget about it.
The new green dial on yellow gold, not that easy. With your connections, with your established relationship, Aussie, yes, but like it's not as easy to get it as the first purchase, which it was just 4 years ago.
I'll talk to my SA, like what she would say to a new customer, but it's just such a lot of money for a watch that isn't super hot. I just can't imagine an SA would ignore you if you go in saying you want a day date. Even the olive dial, I don't think would be out of the question.
It would be my luck. I buy this day date at over retail, trade in three Rolexes, and then 2 weeks later I get a phone call from my boutique saying my back roll's in. Then I'd be royally fucked at that point.
Yeah. Honestly, I'd only purchase a day date because, I mean, only if the prerequisites you do like it. I think you can. You're correct. In the last 6 months, no Rolex has been easy to get. I think a day date should be okay now. Whether or not the olive dial is on the cards, you certainly can't order anything right now, but they will certainly get deliveries of them. Yeah, I just don't see them holding that back from even a new buyer. It's not a Daytona. It's just expensive. It would be harder to get a Submariner or a GMT Master 2, full-blooded root beer than getting a day date. That's for sure.
I don't know. I feel like with as many watches that are being pulled out from the safes from ADs, boutiques, whatever, I feel like I'm gonna get a call for the Cermak here within this year. Because that was my backup choice if I couldn't get a back grill or either or. And I'm pretty
Isn't
sure.
the Cermak harder?
I don't know, honestly.
I think it is.
But they always ask me for a backup choice, and I said screw it. The Cermak.
The BL&R and the BL, the BL&R is a funny one because it's very desirable, but not everyone can take their second choice in a lineup. So everyone's just going Pepsi, 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 and I think the BL&R is sort of like a little underappreciated. People try to avoid it because they want to go for the Pepsi, and that's the right thing to do because even my AD will not get me a second GMT Master 2 easily. That's for sure. The Kermit, on the other hand, the Cermak, that's going to be a lot of people's first choices. So that's why I think it ends up being harder than the BL&R, respectively, just because it's not that common and it's a lot of people's first choices.
Who knows
between the two?
But I do have that VIP showing that I'm going to go to. Now, if they've got a green dial date just, not the honeycomb style, but just a flat green, I might purchase that on spot. Because I actually kind of like that one. It'd make for a nice daily beater. Make for a nice shitter.
Yeah. I'd love to. I don't know. That's a good question. I'd love for my wife to finally get her the date just 36 with the palm motif, just because, her only Rolex right now is that rose gold Yachtmaster, which is a very good everyday watch, but at the same time, you don't want to be literally wearing a gold watch every day. So for her to have something a little bit more casual, whatever you define casual as being. Wearing a watch under $10,000, hopefully. Thank you. yeah, I'd really love to see you have the Datejust. But whether I've got a Rolex that's a beta, well, not beta, not true beta, but just something I really am carefree about. The Explorer's the closest to that, but not really. Honestly, still not really.
Right.
I could use a Datejust, I guess, from that perspective.
Well, I mean, they're
but I'm not
so
seeking it hard.
right. They don't go crazy over. I mean, like maybe
Yeah.
3,000 max over. They're still considered to be undesirable, regardless of what people think. ADs will still shove them on people to throw them off the steel sports track. There's a reason why the Datejust is the most sold watch in Rolex's lineup, and no, not because it's. Don't get me wrong, it's a great watch, but it's not because it's that good. It's people buy it for the wives, girlfriends, the gumas, or the mistresses, whatever you want to call them, just to move up the list.
Well, I think people underestimate how much price plays a part in these conversations as well. For us, it might be a bargaining chip to gain access to another watch, but for the average person, it's their first and perhaps only Rolex, and that's the one they can afford, and they actually like it. And that's much more like anything below 10K is much more accessible as a luxury watch for more people. Because
I think a fully decked out Datejust 41 is actually 11K.
it is.
What depends? Like, are you talking white gold or two-tone?
White no, I mean, yeah, steel with white gold, fluted bezel, Jubilee bracelet. I think it's over 10K.
It is?
I think you're sitting at 12, give or take.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, it's gotten to that level. Well, I mean, even more so the case now.
Lord's thinking of like 1,800 prices when they're like $500.
Well, I wish there were Rolex when when I was first introduced to the vampiric order, but that was in 1800s. Unfortunately, the Rolex brand wasn't there. The Holy Trinity was there, but Rolex is Rolex is a creature of the 20th century. Anyway, I think the cheaper Rolexes. I mean, what about the Datejust 36 Jubilee bracelet, fluted bezel? How much does that run at this point, Ozzy? Do you know that?
Pretty close to the same, which is why you'd be more inclined to go with the 41.
$100 difference.
So it's not.
I'm
it's
just
not cheaper than Submariner. Is that what you're saying?
So a Datejust 41 in Jubilee and fluted is 10.2K, which is the same price as a Submariner, as far as I think.
So,
I think Submariner is about 10.2, and then the LV is 10.7 or something like that.
Okay. What about Datejust 36?
36, I think, taps in at about 9,600. Let me just double check. But yeah, you don't save a lot of money going down to the 36.
No,
so
I wasn't.
It's still a lot of money. You're not saving money.
Yeah, about $1,000 difference.
Okay, then my point is canceled out completely.
Yeah, it really is just exclusivity, like access. That's the difference, not the price.
You're right. For whatever reason, I always thought there was a good gap between Datejusts and Submariners, but I guess it's because
from Rolex's marketing, the Datejust is the better watch. You know what I mean? As in, this is what normal people who have some class should be buying, as opposed to these fucking saturation divers that keep fucking coming into our jewelry stores.
Full on John says, okay, wait. Thomas Broadbent says, appreciate and wear what you have. Wear them. This is to you, Smoking Joe. Don't try to roll 3 watches into a day date, he's saying. Full on John, I'm waiting for the Explorer 1 36 Datejust fluted blue motif and Explorer 2 black. And Angelic Slayer says, I have a steel, silver dial, white gold bezel Datejust 36 as my daily. I have a 4-digit date just that I wear as well. I love it. I can wear it with my gardening clothes and a nice jacket. I had a sea dweller, didn't like it, too big and heavy. Yeah, you gotta find what the right one is for you, man. Especially between a 36 millimeter date just, especially if it's like a vintage one, even from the 80s, to the current sea dweller.
Yeah.
It's
I agree.
world.
The Datejust 36 is 8.7K in that Jubilee and fluted bezel combo, but I'm a lot of people don't like it, and it's not what the market likes. But I really do like the idea of a Datejust with a smooth bezel and oyster bracelet. For that, you're going to need one of the dials that actually really pop, have a lot more complexity to it to provide the watch a little bit more, just variation. But if you go oyster with smooth, like the Explorer, it becomes an extremely versatile watch because a
Yeah.
Datejust in fluted and Jubilee is extremely flashy. Like
It
it
is.
is.
The rhodium, I think, is probably the best. And I kind of shit on it, and I was busting Tim's balls over it like a month ago because he got one. Someone loaned it to him for like a day. I think it was Reds. I don't know. And I said, "Oh, that's the shit you buy when you can't buy Steel Sports."
Well,
Are you
that's
talking about the
Hindsight, I
Wimbledon
think the
dial?
rhodium
The
looks
rhodium?
nice. Yeah, the rhodium date just. I think it looks nice. Hindsight now.
well. I mean, that's actually why I truly love Cam's watch. I think that's a beautiful watch, and it's a good watch for him too. The smooth bezel, it's the oyster bracelet, it's the blue dial. I think that's a very good Rolex for a lot of people. I think that can serve them well. And I know, the purist would try to get an Explorer in that size, perhaps, but a lot of people appreciate the date function. I'm a no date fundamentalist, so I'll stay on that side and I will die on that hill. But yeah, the date just 36 with smooth bezel and oyster is an interesting option.
I just want to add there, like for me, for the Wimbledon dial, and then there's a lot of dials that also this relates to. Um, my favorite dial in the DJ41 was the Azzurro blue with the Romans, but that blue was really nice. I've seen that in person. I really like it. But I do realize that ultimately the lack of really good lume is something that I would really hate ultimately. I don't have any watches that don't have fantastic lume, except for like shitters like a Casio or something like that. And I truly hate having to like depress the light button to be able to see that, and having no option at all because the lume is so bad. That just doesn't sit well with me. So that sort of writes off all of the Roman dialed stuff, and perhaps even the Wimbledon, which has the sole lume plot at 9 o'clock.
By the way, Angelic Slayer says, I love the Jubilee bracelet. Absolutely. I wear it loose on the side of my wrist, and I don't know if I could go back to an oyster bracelet. You are in great company. This is the legendary Roger Waters wearing his Datejust like a Cuban chain.
Fucking hell, it's sacrilege. Fuck me dead.
I was watching Woodstock 94, and I think Kid Rock had a Datejust.
Yeah, he wears
fur
it.
coat.
He wears it quite loose usually, so it travels down his. But this is a sub. He wears a couple of different Rolexes. I think he mostly the Datejust, but I think he has a sub. I don't know if he has another watch.
I forgot who it was. I think it was Jake Gyllenhaal, I believe. I think there's a picture of him floating out there. He's wearing a Milgauss, and the thing's got like too many links, like 2 extra links in there. And the fucking thing's like, the thing is all the way down, like on his forearm right here during an interview. It's like, how do you wear a watch like that? Like, how do you let it fling around like that? It's so, that drives me nuts.
Yeah, I don't understand either. Like I understand. I like the watch to be a little loose, just a little. I
Yeah,
like it to
like a
slip.
tennis bracelet. You can just sling it around, but like all the way down here. What the hell?
But yeah, certainly riding up onto your muscle where you could flex it, and I'm gonna break it. It's like so beyond where it's just
I mean,
tendons.
it's like it's a different feel. I mean, I don't wear it like that, but when I have my date chest on the Jubilee bracelet, it's not just loose, it's especially because also I wear it right behind my wrist bone anyways, my watches, as you can see even in this. So when you wear a vintage Jubilee bracelet that has also gotten a little loose, it's just a different feel. It's hard to describe, and you either love it or hate it. There's no in between. Yeah, you just got to try it and see if it's for you. And it's probably not for you, because as much as I know you guys and the kind of watches you have and enjoy, it's probably like a vintage Jubilee bracelet is not your thing, not going to be your thing.
But personally, in terms of fit, I really, really love if the bracelet is just wide enough that I can wear it over the bone, but it will normally sit behind. But that level of looseness, and the only watch I've got like that right now is my Explorer, or obviously Submariner with the glide lock. You get anything you want with that.
Yeah, Angelic Slayer says not that far down, but it should go over that knuckle. Exactly like I wear it as well. It's a special feel. Frank B is coming back with the boxing commentary. Historic day for women's boxing indeed. I think the numbers will come out, but probably this was the biggest women's boxing fight in terms of the numbers, in terms of the eyes that it drew onto the sport. Great fight between Serrano and Taylor. Was this Jake Gyllenhaal?
Yeah, all the way down the fucking wrist. It's like, what are you doing, my
awesome.
guy?
I love it. But Frank B's avatar, I love that. Can we just admire the Jubilee on modern
Ali's
sports?
grandson also had another good performance. Yes, I think. Look, of course, he's riding on the family name, Nico Ali Walsh. He's a middleweight fighter. He's fighting at 160 pounds. But every fight you see him doing something more, getting better, which is more than what you can say about some boxers. And he's still in single digits. I think maybe had between 4 to 6 professional fights. So he has a long way to go. And that name gives him a lot of exposure, but it might come to haunt him, of course, because the expectations are blown all out of all proportion, of course.
So Frank B there has my Grail watch, the Batgirl.
Yes.
And I'm really, really wanting it. I've got one. It's in the bank safe because I'm waiting for a special work milestone before putting it on my own wrist. But damn, it's fucking beautiful.
You have it already, so it's how's that?
Yeah, it was my second purchase. It happened. It came like 3 weeks after getting my sub, and I'm like, this is just too soon. I got to put this away and save it for like a special occasion, because that's actually my favorite watch in the Rolex lineup, or at least it was until I got the Explorer. But it's sitting there waiting for that occasion.
Okay.
I regret not buying one over retail. It was like a 20 grand. I could have had one. Shit, hindsight.
Well, when I got mine in about February of last year, it was, I think, 17, 16, something like that. It wasn't crazy. I mean, it was crazy for everyone that looked at it at the time, because it was like the only other watch that commanded such a premium was a Pepsi or a Daytona. I think those were about 22 and about 28,000 respectively.
I think nowadays they're pushing 23, 25 now.
Yeah, they've been pushing a lot higher these days. Like real push.
For the moment,
very close to the Pepsi.
A little further down though for the moment. Frank B says got it in 19 before the madness was at an all-time high. 2019, of course.
Yeah, more than the absolute price, which will always change. I look for when certain watches start crossing the value of other watches. So like the Hulk crossed over from the Pepsi about 3 months ago. That makes sense to me. The Pepsi is a pretty common watch, ultimately. But the Batman is starting to creep up onto the Pepsi. I think ultimately, in the long history of time, there's no way a Batman should be under a Pepsi, but it'll take a discontinuation to make that final push, I think.
And that can happen next year. I think one of them might be discontinued because I have a feeling that for the 40th anniversary of JMT Master 2, they might bring in a ceramic Coke bezel, and they might actually discontinue one of them. Maybe they will switch the new green black into a regular production model, not the destro or not the left-hand drive, and then discontinue one of the colors and bring out the Coke, perhaps. And if Batman gets discontinued, forget about it. It's gonna go sky high. Guys, it's 3 hours and a half, which is half an hour more than I usually go for at this time. I really appreciate your presence and support. We have reached 500 subscribers today, so it's a huge milestone for me. To everyone who has helped with that, I'm truly grateful. If you guys want to help me even more, don't forget to upvote this stream. Hit that like button. Every vote counts. Everything helps. And if you want to spread the word and share the link on other platforms, I would really appreciate that too. That's the biggest thing that helps. If you have a special request for content, contact me at lordhellespontv@gmail.com. And with a nominal PayPal contribution at that same address, lordhellespontv@gmail.com, or at my Cash App, which is $LHVVV. I'd be happy to make a personalized video for you, looking into a history of a brand, drawing the genealogy of a particular model of watch. I can do a collection review or in the interview format where you can jump on the live stream and we get to learn more about you, your life, and your lifestyle. That's something I really enjoy doing. In either case, yes, if you have any suggestions for future content, and if you want me to make a personalized video, get in touch with me over email. And for a nominal contribution, I'll be happy to do that for you. Before we close, Ozzy, do you want to make your point about the Batman?
I think, it was always very clear that the BLNR was sort of like a transitional piece, the first bicolor, and they moved on to the Pepsi with green coming in and Coke. I think you're right. There's going to be some action on the steel lineup beyond just the left-hand drive, and the BLNR is just not going to be around forever. It's just not something that they're committed to, and they will change up. Quite frankly, they need a non-traditional color that will be more desired than the BLNR. Like, they need to remove the bottom desirability, which is the BLNR. I love it. That's for me, but objectively, that is where it sits, and replace it with the top. And they've done that with the LHD. LHD is going to completely blow the Pepsi out of the water in terms of desirability. The question is whether or not they remove the BLNR and do the shift, like you say, Lord, where they go back to right-hand drive, leaving the current release limited. Who knows? I think there's going to be a lot of movement in the steel lineup for GMT Master 2, and under no circumstance in any of those iterations do I see the BLNR surviving the axe.
Yeah. And you are saying its days are limited because it was always somehow thought of as a transitional color. That's an interesting theory, and I think it has a lot of validity until they could do the Pepsi. Big Meech makes a suicide joke there, which I don't really like, but we'll take it as read. Aussie Expat says the Pepsi will never be discontinued. Well, in the world of Rolex, never say never, but I think you have a strong argument there. Thank you guys for, we had just started seeing people from the UK. So thank you, Chris Clues, Frank B. Thank you for dropping by. Thank you, Smokin' Joe. Thanks for being here. Thank you, Aussie Expat, and Jay Gray earlier for being with us in the panel. This was a very good ride today. I'm very happy to reach 500 subscribers, even though I will probably check it now or tomorrow, and I will have fallen behind again. Oh, yes, I'm at 499 again. I knew that someone would unsubscribe just to fight with me, but that's fine.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Laura. Can I get a refund of my $15?
You can, I think cancel the charge.
I'll promise I'll subscribe again as long as you refund me my $15. Not just fucking with that.
I'll not give it back to you forever. It's mine now. Hey guys, I'm very transparent too. I'm trying to get the channel monetized and to soak up all the PayPal contributions and Cash App contributions until then, because hey, I'm putting the work in. I'm making the efforts. I'm preparing content constantly, uploading, trying to come up with original topics that not many other people are talking about. As much as I like to only talk about Rolex, but hey, there's more to the world of watches, and I try to provide something that's a little different and more interesting.
On that point, you've been doing better than me on getting new subscribers, even though in the last few days I've put out a few shorts that have turned out to be quite popular, of getting 1,000 views in 24 hours, that sort of thing. And I've gotten 0 subs from 2 shorts that were doing relatively well, and getting a lot of discoverability. But it's interesting. So shorts might not be the way to get subscribers. You get views and hours from it, but not subscribers. So I'll put out a few more shorts. I'm experimenting, but it seems like shorts don't get subs, basically.
Not really. I think, for those who maybe would be interested in some insight when it comes to that, you're fighting 2 different battles, basically, in the beginning for monetization. You need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. So the fact that I was so consistent with the shorts and started also doing a lot of 5 to 7 minute content, 15 to half an hour, 15 minutes to half an hour content helped me heaps. So I'm more than halfway through watch hours now, but I got stuck with right around 500 for the last week, basically. The shorts are only bringing like maybe 1 or 2 subscribers over a month for 2,000-3,000 views. I have some that have even more views, but I have not gained more than 2 subscribers per 15-second video, basically 10-15 seconds. Yeah, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Great job. Thank you, Thomas. You have really been very loyal and very engaging throughout. So as long as we have people like you on board, I think we'll be just fine. And Big Meech, do you have one final point? Are you gonna disappoint the punters and get the day date and get rid of half of your collection?
Oh God, no. I'd have to be really, really drunk. But I don't know. I just can't wait to get the phone call from my boutique saying Congratulations, the backhoe's been discontinued. Go fuck yourself, and then they hang up. So it's probably going to be the most likely possibility.
Actually,
It's true.
uh,
It's true.
Big Mitch, as much as I would love to milk your meltdown after that for content and views. I hope you get. I hope you actually get the watch you want.
Did you ever watch that movie, Flushed Away? It's like a little Disney movie.
No,
Oh,
tell
so
me.
there's this like one little scene there where like this frog is going on about how he was flushed down the loo because he used to be like this family's pet,
Okay.
and he's explaining it to he was explaining to another frog, and this frog gets bored. He's drinking tea, and he throws his teacups and whatnot. He's like your stories bore me, and this other frog's like, you find my pain funny? He's like, yes, of course I do. I find everyone's pain funny. I'm French.
Even though Germans have coined the word for it, as you know, that is used in English as well. It's Schadenfreude. It's like deriving pleasure from others' pain. Um, but yeah, look, we take stabs at each other, Joe. You know this.
It's how the community operates. Everyone's taking shots at each other.
A little bit. But I like to think that our relationship is a little different. So I do genuinely want you to get that, and I do actually like that one better than the Pepsi. Honestly, the Pepsi has been like there's so many different variations, and some of the color combinations to me just look hideous.
I think
I've had the
Pepsi
opportunity to buy
has
it,
to
and I just declined it.
It has to get better. It just has to get better. Anyone getting it is getting it just because it's. Well, I can't speak for anyone else, but I mean, to me, it'd just be for the clout. It's like, oh, I've got a Pepsi. That's the only reason for me, because the colors are just not there. Like I troll a little bit. Like when someone shows a Pepsi on screen, it's like, oh, you've got the 11610 LN, the black, cool, because you just can't see it on that bezel.
Yeah, it's for me, yeah, in a way you can try to justify it and kind of backwards engineer and say, well, that's how the Pepsi bezel one was. Like, they all aged and faded and took patina differently. But that was not the point. The reason you switched to ceramic bezels was, in fact, to gain consistency, gain robustness, gain reliability. Now it's the opposite, because when aluminum bezels age, change colors, and fade and get patinated, it adds character. When these come out in different colors, it just looks off. That's my point. But then again, I'm a vintage person, so I'm already prejudiced against it.
Yeah, they just look too dark. I would 100% love it if the blue on the Pepsi was the same saturation, hue, and brightness as the Batman. And to me, I don't see why you would compromise on that. And it should have a red that's as vibrant as the blue is on the Batman. But instead you get this weird purplish top and a purplish bottom. Like, it's just so weird, and they're very, very dark.
Yeah, it looks like two different shades of purple more than anything to me as well.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you again for all your support. If you enjoyed the content, smash that like button. Don't forget to upvote, share the word, spread it far and wide. I really appreciate your support until I get to 1K. You know, the PayPal and the Cash App down there, lordhellespont@gmail.com for the PayPal contributions. $ LHVVV for the Cash App. I appreciate your support. Your presence and your engagement is more important to me than anything else. I want to thank my fellow panelists, Aussie Expat and Smoking Joe and Jay Gray, who left earlier. Thank you for this conversation. I look forward to seeing you again in the next one tomorrow, guys. Thank you so much.